can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 47 right now in Columbia. It's 45 degrees in Jefferson City. We're expecting sunshine today. Our high 63. Clear skies tonight with a low near 45. Sunshine, if you will, on your Thursday for December the 2nd with a high of 70, and Friday sunny with a high of 67 degrees. Today is the first day of December. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories we're working on. Attorneys for the second suspect in the deadly November shooting incident outside Vibes in downtown Columbia are requesting a bond reduction. 28-year-old Todd Nesbitt is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. He is jailed without bond this morning. Nesbitt is scheduled to appear in Boone County Circuit Court this morning at 9. Online court records show he has previous misdemeanor convictions for drugs, driving while revoked, resisting arrest, and domestic assault. He was also charged with felony domestic assault in July, but was released after posting a $5,000 bond. Meantime, a state lawmaker who represents part of Columbia and southern Boone County will pre-file legislation today aimed at repealing Missouri's new gasoline tax. Ashland Republican State Representative Sarah Walsh tells 93.9 The Eagle's Branden Rathert that she will pre-file the bill. Missouri lawmakers approved the bipartisan gasoline tax last year. It increases the gas tax by 2.5 cents per gallon for 5 years for a total of 12 cents. It was the first gas tax increase in 25 years in Missouri. Again, pre-filing starting this morning. The actual date of the legislative session is going to be Wednesday, January the 5th. Missouri State Treasurer spending the next 12 business days raising awareness about more than $1 billion in unclaimed property held by his office. State Treasurer Scott Fitzpatrick says most of the unclaimed property is cash from bank accounts, stocks, safe deposit boxes that have been abandoned. Others are wages from past jobs, former utility deposits as well. You can check to see if you have unclaimed property by visiting the website. It's showmemoney.com. Just type your name into the search engine and it will show up if you have money. The popular Living Windows event is expected to bring several thousand people to downtown Jefferson City on Friday evening. Last year's event was canceled due to COVID concerns. Downtown Association spokeswoman Angela Nail describes Living Windows as one of Jefferson City's biggest events of the year.
We have people who come from all over the state of Missouri. They come to Jefferson City for Living Windows on Friday night, and they stick around for the parade on Saturday. So we're expecting, I would have to say, 3,000 plus people in downtown Jefferson City.
There'll be singers, dancers, and downtown storefront windows on Friday evening in Jefferson City. Santa Claus will be at Hawthorne Bank. Living Windows is from 6 to 9 on Friday. And Ms. Nail referenced the parade. That's a huge parade in downtown Jefferson City. That starts at 4:30 near the Missouri Capitol. The events are free. Speaking of events, good weather expected to boost tonight's turnout for the Festival of Lights Christmas light display lighting in Fulton. The lighting ceremony begins at 5:30 this evening. Veterans Park. Callaway County Salvation Army will be on hand. They'll serve cookies and hot chocolate. Fulton area residents can donate to the holiday display by donating LED lights or by making a monetary donation. And DEA agents are now involved in a drug investigation in the Moberly and Clarence areas. We don't have a lot of details this morning, but we can tell you that Moberly police say a Clarence man and woman are still jailed without bond this morning. Authorities allegedly found 2 pounds of methamphetamines inside their vehicle after they returned from the Kansas City area. They tried to flee. They were captured. The 2 suspects facing charges of trafficking narcotics. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you on this Wednesday morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. Turning our attention now to sports. The St. Louis Blues winning in a shootout last night against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Final score there was 4-3 at Enterprise Center. Next game is today's travel day. The next game will be part of that home-and-home series, and the Blues will be on the road tomorrow to take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Again, the Blues win it 4-3 in a shootout at Enterprise Center. Our sports is brought to you this morning by Service Master Clean of Columbia. Adam Kinser is with ServiceMasterofColumbia.com. You can call him as well, 573-443-8383. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07.
I'm ABC 17 Storm Track meteorologist John Ross, and our warm weather continues. Today we're back in the low 60s under partly cloudy skies. More sunshine for your day on Thursday with a high near 70 degrees. We'll be close to record highs on Thursday. Friday a bit cooler in the upper 60s with temperatures returning to average by the time we get to Saturday, down into the 50s with chances for rain this weekend. I'm meteorologist John Ross, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on Hot Talk and Breaking News 93.9 The Eagle.
All right, John, thanks so much. Our weather is brought to you by Club Car Wash. You can visit clubcarwash.com to find a location near you. Our sunrise will take place at 7:08 this morning. It's 47 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit midmohires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Roads right now appear to be quiet in mid-Missouri. If you do want to report a traffic issue, you can call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle, broadcasting live from the Zimmer Radio Group World Headquarters. This is Wake Up Columbia.
Wake up, Columbia. It's time to start your day. Wake up, Columbia. Hot Talk is on the way. Wake up, Columbia. To hear the latest news. Wake up, Columbia. To Branden, Rathert, and the Eagle Crew.
Now, here's the host of the show, Branden Rathert.
Here we go. Untitled. Well, I'm not going to read it all. Just sign it. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to turn this over now to Brian. He's going to moderate the rest, but I warn you, I'm going to intervene with questions with your permission. Isn't this a pretty place?
Without comment, that's the president. Joe started to read a bill and he couldn't read it. I was just going to sign it. Which I kind of like that. I got to admire Joe for that. Because he's at that, when you get to a spot in life when you're old and you're kind of like, whatever, I'm just going to sign it. That I respect. It is kind of scary the dude's in charge of things. And then he's sitting there, he's waiting to introduce speakers, and it's the epitome. And again, sometimes my dad might get mad at me, as conservative as my dad is, and as much as he dislikes Joe and maybe doesn't dislike Joe personally, but his policies. My dad sometimes, Branden, be careful about making fun of us old folks. That's from my dad. But he's sitting there getting ready to sign something, and he's just looking around, and he says, well, isn't this a pretty building? And I don't even know what to say.
He was calling the Omicron, what was he calling it?
Omnicron?
Omnicron, yeah. It sounds like a transformer or something, like some sort of robot, the Omnicron.
Incidentally, I have a collection. I have like 7 different people, and I'll show you, saying Omnicron, because I was unsure yesterday. Frankly, I'm still not sure how to say it. And it probably shouldn't be that big of a deal, but I have like journalists. There's like 4 or 5 different ways. Journalists, whether it be on a local level or on a national level, they're all giving different enunciations of this word.
Are you taking umbrage with the way they're pronouncing?
Welcome into the show. That is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Brian Hauswirth, it sounds like Joe is entrusting you with something here. He said, I'm going to have Brian moderate this. You got your assignments for this morning?
I noticed that. But yeah, it's good to be with you, my friend, and I appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a good morning.
Big thing, Missouri politics this morning. Pre-filing starts today. And man, some of our local local lawmakers. Wow, I got to share this text with you that Chuck Basie sent yesterday. But so far, what are we seeing right now? What are we aware of this morning?
Well, we know that there's going to be a charter bill filed by Representative Doug Ritchie, who's from Excelsior Springs, and Senator Andrew Koenig. That's a big bill because what they're saying, Stephanie, and I know you've been interested in this bill, those two lawmakers, and they worked on the ESA bill with Speaker Vescovo. They say that the students that are going to the charter schools, St. Louis, Kansas City specifically, are not getting the funding. It's like $2,000 to $3,000 less than what the public schools are receiving. So they're going to file that bill. We know that is going to be filed. Really, we know that there will be a bill filed about the gasoline tax that Sarah Walsh is going to file. I know you'll touch on that. Chuck Basie's got bills. But I caution everyone that a lot of the bills that will be filed today, very few of them will go through. But they'll be newsworthy. They certainly will be covered. But as a standalone bill specifically, let's say 2,000 to 3,000 bills are filed, maybe 100 to 150 pass.
I'm confused by the Sarah Walsh thing. I like what she's doing, and Sarah Walsh is my personal state representative. I don't like the gas tax either. I'm saving those receipts, and I'm not real pleased about it because I want to get my $12 back at the end of the year, man. But didn't the legislature just pass this last year?
Yes.
And already she is wanting to undo, which is great. Am I missing something?
She's running for Congress. She's running for Congress, and I'm not. Again, I'm not taking a shot at Sarah Walsh at all.
Fact.
But she is on record, and she's been consistent. To be fair, she has been very consistent. She thinks this should go to a vote of the people. She has said that, and she and the governor are at odds on this particular issue. They certainly are. Governor won't support a repeal. There's no doubt because he signed the bill, obviously. But we have, and former Senator Jeff Smith made an interesting point. It's an election year, and it's not just Sarah Walsh. We've got about potentially 10, maybe 15 people that are running for higher office. Does that have a huge impact? Everybody thinks it might. I don't know, because Sarah Walsh said that last year.
One of those people running for higher office, not in the legislature, but in a different office there in Jefferson City, Eric Schmitt is going to be joining us, 710, our Attorney General. Whole bunch of things we can talk about, including a parent bill of rights and some successful court actions recently.
Yeah, well, and I think there was some speculation with the Senate shutdown last year that some of that was over, who was going to run for what and people's future aspirations. So I think that will be at play this year. With Sarah Walsh, I think there are some different things that are happening. What we do know, we heard Mayor Treese on the news saying how much money Missouri was going to get for infrastructure. And so if we were talking about raising one-time funds for infrastructure from the bill from last year, and now we're getting this huge influx, apparently, of cash from the feds, even if she doesn't get it repealed, maybe it would be appropriate to reduce that increase, maybe tweak the legislation, and nothing prevents them from going back and amending the statute.
I like where your head's at this morning. Maybe we just get money from that. I don't know. So it's 2.5 cents. Gas went up 2.5 cents just about a month ago, 2 months ago, and in 10 years it'll go up by a total, I think, 12.5 cents a gallon.
Actually, it's 12, so it's 2.5 over 5 years for a total of 12.
The scope of the Omicron variant.
Omicron.
The scope of the Omicron variant.
That's one take.
Omicron has.
Omicron?
There's an N in there.
Right, there's an N in there. Oh, and I've got more. There's all kinds of different ways people are saying this locally and nationally. By the way, I have this text from Chuck Basie. Yesterday reached out to him like, hey, what's happening? Pre-file December 1. What are you guys going to do in Jeff City? I want to share this text. But first, I want to say good morning to Hannah, the producer. How are you?
Good morning. I am here.
Did you hear about Chris Cuomo?
I did. Did you have any stake bets riding on this one?
No, I had a stake bet riding on his brother, and I lost. I one time hoped his brother would be done by March 2021.
You didn't hope. You knew. You knew he was going to be done by that time.
I bet a steak dinner. There's 3 levels of bets I have. $1. I could be wrong. Steak dinner, I'm pretty sure. And I was wrong on that one.
You were very confident.
And then the $1 million bet. In my years here on Wake Up Columbia, I have yet to lose a $1 million bet.
How's the collection going?
That's not important, Hannah. What's important is... all right, so let me do this thing from Chuck. I want to highlight Chris Cuomo, gone from CNN, suspended indefinitely. And you know what that means. You're without a job. Basically, you're fired. It's just kind of a fancier way to put it. I could be wrong. I could bet a steak dinner and say, the guy's got to be back at the beginning of the year or something. There's another steak dinner. Chris Cuomo, because of his brother, of course, the disgraced governor of New York, left office. Chris Cuomo, incidentally, has a radio show. I didn't know this. But yesterday, finally, before he's temporarily or indefinitely relieved of his duties there at CNN, finally, because a caller brought it up, finally talked about his brother and why his brother left office.
2, he had the Republicans hating him. 3, he had the media. Never really liked him.
So 2 and 3, Republicans hated him. The media hated him. Number 1, he says his own party didn't like him.
So that is too much, and that's why he had to resign.
This is the best part. This is the advice that Chris says he was giving to his brother.
I did not want him to resign in the beginning because I believed him, and I thought that you don't resign, you ask for due process. And leave the women alone and let due process take care of the situation.
Hours later, he's fired. Let due process take care of it all. That's the guy saying it. Hours later, he's without a job.
Well, and that's a lie because he was in on it the whole time trying to discredit these women. So him saying, we're just going to leave the women alone and let due process do their thing. No, he was, behind the scenes, trying to discredit these women from the very beginning. And I think that's what the documents show.
CNN says some of these documents that were released, so we knew that he was involved earlier, but we didn't know to the extent. And now that we have these documents after the state of New York released those, we're going, whoa, yeah, this is unseemly. By the way, on his radio show, to kind of give you the mindset of people that might listen to his radio show, all right, liberal radio does not. We have NPR, but that's not real political. I'm thinking back to the days of Air America radio, early 2000. Air America, remember Rachel Maddow was on there, and it lasted, like 3 weeks. It didn't work because liberals are not that passionate about politics. They're just passionate about you doing what it is that they want you to do. So nobody listened. But check this out. That gives you the mindset. Listen to this caller on Chris's show yesterday.
Please give this message to your brother. This 60-year-old woman will never forget. He was the one that was leading this country when we were going through that terrible, deadly crisis. And his political enemies, the Republicans, couldn't stand that even Fox News was tuning into his press releases because we weren't getting anything from anybody else.
She's saying Cuomo, by the way, one of the reasons he's not in office anymore, he says these women and the harassment, he's also in trouble for the stuff he did during the pandemic. But this listener to the Chris Cuomo show is singing the guy's praises. Governor Cuomo killed people. He didn't know what to do. He was stuffing old people into retirement homes where they were catching this and dying. That's a fact. And this woman's like, he was leading the country. My goodness, man.
Remember how I played that game last weekend and I said that liberals are most likely to be the ones who don't care about the facts, just ignore the facts? That's this lady. She wins, most likely to ignore all the facts.
Isn't that stunning?
It is.
He was the one that was leading this country. By the way, great Christmas gift idea, this board game. I'm into this. I haven't played it, but I'm into it. I think there's got to be a way, Hannah, we could play this on the show.
Yeah, it's called Most Likely To, and you draw the deck, and it has different prompts, and then you have to pick someone in your group who would be the most likely to do that. I picked my 4-year-old as the one who was a danger to themselves, or now a 5-year-old.
Wow. Can you bring that in?
Yeah, we're going to try.
All right, let's do that. I would love to play that game on air. Okay, Chuck Basie, state representative. I was chatting with Law. Should I do this after the daily DC rundown? 625?
Yes.
Okay. Coming up, 625, your daily D. I want to share, and I hope Chuck does not get mad. State Rep Chuck Basie, I sent him a text.
Should we maybe ask him if he's okay with sharing it?
I'm going to make an assumption.
Oh,
like our new listener, Rob, yesterday, we had a new listener yesterday. He was forced to listen to our show because he's working with somebody in the truck. We called him a couple of times throughout the show, and the guy, he made an assumption about our show before he ever listened. He's like, it's always going to be old white dudes complaining about Democrats. The dude loves the show. So his assumptions were wrong. So my assumptions here and thinking that Chuck might be okay with me reading this text on air could be wrong, too. So maybe we'll consult. See, we do that after the Daily DC Rundown, which is coming up at 6:25 with Stephanie Bell.
So McConaughey is not running, but another TV personality is running. Who is it?
Man, I saw this. I got some stuff to say on that. Daily DC Rundown coming up 6:26 here on 93.9 The Eagle. It's Wake Up Columbia. Good morning. Good morning. I am Branden Rathert for Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting. I think I've got an excellent, some inside info for you on a job. This isn't the Chris Cuomo kind of inside info. This is legit, man. Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting, looking for a couple of employees to join the family. Number one, looking for a technician. You're going to go out and you're going to help people all across mid-Missouri. You're going to be cleaning out septic tanks and lagoons. And I know I get it. I know there's the jokes, but I promise I've done this before. For a day. But you're helping people. You're going to be paid well, flexible, all that's everything you want in a job. You're going to find it with Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting. The other opening that you might be interested in there at Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting, they need somebody in the office. Can you do just a bunch of different stuff? Of course you can. Then here's what you do. Get onto their website, pro-pumping.com. Ask about those job openings at Pro Pumping and Hydrojetting.
People are talking about Branden Rathert.
He's an outstanding man, and I'm sure that he'll do very well. I think he's just outstanding.
This is Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
I want to be your public servant, and every choice I make will be serving the citizens of Pennsylvania and the United States.
Who's that dude getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown, Steph?
Dr. Oz?
Really? He's running for office?
Really? So apparently right now he lives in New Jersey and is a longtime New Jersey resident, but he's running for Pennsylvania's open U.S. Senate seat, which is supposed to be one of the biggest contested races, and it's pretty much wide open. So he is raising his hand and saying, I want to do it.
And I wish some of these celebrities, the guy who was part of that movie, the Hillbilly Eulogy or whatever, he's running. We're seeing more and more celebrities that are running for office, and I'm wondering if we get to the point, okay, let's stop. And it's a shame because some of these folks might really have something to offer, but I'm afraid you're going to get a bunch of, would it be offensive if I said mostly female voters in Pennsylvania? Because I'm guessing it's mostly females that watch his TV show.
I don't think you're right. I have no idea who watches his show.
You want to bet $1 on it?
I for sure do not. But
bet you steak dinner.
But he's playing this TV.
Bet you $1 million.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Is he cute?
But I would think he's not ugly. Okay. I don't know. I don't judge people.
Right.
I only judge chicks.
Yeah, so he is invoking kind of Trump because, Trump, his whole TV stuff. But, I think importantly, Trump was a businessman too.
Yeah.
And so he's invoking Trump. Interestingly enough, did you see yesterday Trump issued a statement that referenced a Missouri congressperson? We'll have to talk about that. Yeah, someone in the Senate race. So everyone is still angling for that Trump endorsement. Also important to know today, the big case at the Supreme Court on abortion is being argued, so all eyes will be on that today. We'll be hearing a lot about it.
And those are some of the things that are in the daily DC Rundown here on 93.9 The Eagle. Coming up at 6:30, Fox News is here, one of the stories. So this school shooting last night, 15-year-old suspect in custody. But nobody's talking. Has that changed? We'll find out with Fox. Big day in Jefferson City today. How come? Brian Hauswirth has that story at 6:31. And everybody wants to build a homeless shelter in Columbia. What do you think about that? Let's find out from a homeless person. Ed, the homeless guy, is going to be joining us. Ed, I don't know his last name, so I call him the homeless guy. I don't think he would mind, I hope. Oh, and I still have that text from Chuck Basie regarding pre-filing things today. It's a smoking text. Right now, I have your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast. It should get sunny later today, high 63. 45 tonight, tomorrow, 70. Friday, 67.
Woohoo!
Amen. Right now, 47. Stop by Club Car Wash. Get an unlimited membership. They're only $20 a month. You can get more details, clubcarwash.com. The other thing you can do is find the location that's nearest you.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The Supreme Court today takes up a case challenging Roe v. Wade and subsequent cases allowing abortion to the point of fetal viability.
The 9 justices will hear arguments over a Mississippi state law banning abortions after 15 weeks. According to Roe, abortions are legal up to 24 weeks when a baby is determined to be able to survive outside the womb.
Fox's David Spunt. Rules are going to be tightened for anyone flying into the United States from other countries.
A revised order would mean all international travelers would have to be tested for COVID just 1 day prior to their departure for the United States. Under current guidelines, vaccinated travelers must receive a negative test no more than 3 days before heading to the U.S.
Fox's Sean Langell. Andre Dickens is elected mayor of Atlanta. He's a member of the city council. He beat council president Felicia Moore in yesterday's runoff election after finishing second to her last month. America's listening to Fox News.
$93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. We are expecting a gorgeous morning and a gorgeous day across mid-Missouri on this first day of December. Sunshine with a high of 63 degrees. Clear skies tonight with a low near 45. Tomorrow, sunny and a high of 70 degrees. Already warming up right now, 47 in Columbia. Good morning, everyone. Here are some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. Pre-filing for Missouri's 2022 legislative session session begins this morning in Jefferson City. Lawmakers in both chambers can pre-file bills for the upcoming session. That starts on January the 5th. Ashland Republican State Representative Sarah Walsh tells my colleague 93.9 The Eagle's Branden Rathert she will file a bill today that is aimed at repealing Missouri's new gasoline tax. Meantime, the second suspect in the mid-November shooting outside of Vibes in downtown Columbia will appear in court this morning for a bond hearing. 28-year-old Todd Nesbitt is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. He's jailed without bond. His attorney is requesting a bond reduction. More than 3,000 people expected to be in downtown Jefferson City for the Living Windows event on Friday evening. It is one of the most popular events of the year in the capital city. Central Bank's marketing director and Downtown Association spokeswoman Angela Nail tells The Eagle that Santa Claus will be at Hawthorne Bank, and she says you will see a variety of singers.
And we have tons of dance groups and high school singers and all these different groups in downtown Jefferson City. So they're going to be in a storefront of all the stores and all the different buildings.
Living Windows is Friday in downtown Jefferson City, 6 to 9. Tree lighting ceremony, Governor's Mansion, is at 6. And those candlelight tours at the mansion Friday evening, 6 until 8. In mild weather expected for the Festival of Lights event at Veterans Park in Fulton this evening. The lighting ceremony for Fulton's annual Christmas light display begins at 5:30. Display will continue through the 2nd of January. Salvation Army in Callaway County will be serving hot chocolate and cookies tonight in Fulton. That will be again at Veterans Park. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by Club Car Wash. Visit clubcarwash.com to find a location near you. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 6:33. In sports, the Blues overcoming a 3-0 deficit. They rallied to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in a shootout last night, 4-3 at Enterprise Center in downtown St. Louis. They were down 3-0 in that first period, came back in a shootout. Jordan Binnington making 30 saves for the Blues. They are now 12-7-3 on the year. 93.9 The Eagle Sports, brought to you this hour by LaCrosse Lumber, the oldest, most reliable lumber and hardware company in the Midwest since 1873. LaCrosse Lumber, Grindstone, Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 6:34.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Roads right now are pretty quiet right now in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, you can call or text us 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
I see no great cause for alarm based on that early reporting. What am I missing about this story?
All right, that's Fox. Bill Hemmerer asking Francis Collins, he's the director of the NIH, National Institutes for Health. What am I missing about this? Everything I've read, this is regarding the Omicron variant, depending on who you talk to. Bunch of different enunciations.
Omicron
says that one.
Omicron
says the dictionary.
That's Google.
That's Google.
Yep.
Here's another take on it.
The scope of the Omicron variant.
Omicron.
I think I say Omicron, but maybe it's Omicron. I don't know.
And I actually looked something up to your guys' question, and I'm not sure what article it was, but it said there's no definitive pronunciation of it. So that's why people.
So you can call it whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just people are all over the map on it.
I can't wait till we get to Upsilon. That's spelled Upsilon. It's going to be like Upsilon.
Wow.
Upsilon.
Is this a sorority in here or a deadly disease? Welcome into the show. It's Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, Hannah the producer. My name is Branden Rathert. Do appreciate you being here. Coming up 7:35, we were talking about this doctor, MU healthcare doctor, who sifts through raw sewage to determine how we're doing when it relates to coronavirus here locally. He's got to join us 7:35, and I don't know if we'll talk so much about the virus as much as we'll talk about what this guy does for a living. I am fascinated by that. Coming up, we're going to be chatting with this homeless guy by the name of Ed. There's a lot. We've talked about this. There's a big push specifically in the city of Columbia. Community leaders, politicians saying, hey, this ARPA money we're going to be getting, we're getting a lot of money because of COVID. We need to build a big old homeless shelter. And we'll put some butterflies and all that stuff there. All these politicians. And maybe I'm wrong, but from my experience in working with homeless and couch surfing for a while and working with panhandlers, this idea of building utopia somewhere with taxpayer money just isn't going to work. But what do I know? I am not homeless right now. So we're going to bring in this homeless guy we met a couple of weeks ago, get his take. Shouldn't we hear from homeless people? What do you think?
No, we should. I do think it's bizarre and this whole top-down approach of, I'm not out there saying, things about communities in which I am not a part, right? And so whether that be race, men, gender, anything, socioeconomic status. And I think for a bunch of, wealthy people to sit in a room and try to tell people what homeless people need, I think is missing an important part of the conversation.
Especially when they have it wrong. I just really believe they have it wrong. I get their intentions are good. We want to help. But they have this picture in their head that's probably like a Norman Rockwell painting hanging over a fireplace at Christmas time. I really believe that's what these leaders and politicians think. And I think that because of the conversations I have with them, that it's going to be utopia and all this. And it won't. But we'll get the opinion of a homeless man here shortly. But first, I got to share this text from one of our local state lawmakers, Chuck Basie. So I was chatting with Sarah, Cherie Tolson-Rice, Chuck Basie yesterday. Sarah Walsh, incidentally, she's on tomorrow morning, 6:35. She's doing something pretty interesting. Less than a year ago, legislature passed this gas tax. Gas went up 2.5 cents per gallon here in Missouri. She wants to undo that. She's here at 6:35. Chuck Basie, when I asked him, hey, pre-filing today, December 1st, what do you got? And I got to share this text with you because I'm like, wow, pretty impressive. And here's what he says. From my perspective, the, quote, public school lobby, end quote, better stock up on Tums and adult diapers. Wow. I love it. By the way, Attorney General Eric Schmitt, he's here at 7:10. Parental Bill of Rights. If you're a parent, a grandparent, you want to check this out. Eric Schmitt Plus talking about this lawsuit as it relates to Moberly schools. He's here at 7:10. Right now I want to bring in Ed. He is a homeless guy, hangs out in the Boonville area. Ed, we've sent you some of these articles regarding homeless shelters in Columbia. Basically, they want to take tax money and they want to build shelters with laundry facilities, specific rooms for families and things like that. I think the intentions are good. Your experience, having been homeless for a lot of years now, what's your take on this?
Good morning. How are you all doing?
Excellent.
Great. Well, first, just in short, where it doesn't work is in any time you force somebody to support something and pay for something, they don't generally have a very good attitude towards it.
Okay.
So something like this is taking people's tax money, and then even though there's a lot of people, for the most part, a good part of the population that will agree with, yes, we have to do something with homeless people. But as long as it's your money, Branden, not mine.
That's right. Not in my backyard and not my money. And we get that. A lot of us, we don't want our money used for something like this. What about in practicum? What about in reality? Build a homeless shelter, laundry facilities, rooms, a courtyard, and all this stuff. Will it work or wouldn't it work?
Here's one of the main reasons why it won't work in my experience. When we're all created with this ability to survive. Okay, so if you lost your house tomorrow, you lost everything, Branden. You're gonna use whatever you have left, okay, to get back where you think you need to be. But if I say, Branden, you know what? I don't know your decisions. I understand everything got to where it was going, and this is where you're at. Let me just go ahead and kind of tidy things up and make things more comfortable where you're at. There's no need for you to change at this moment. as long as there's a warm bed and plenty to eat and everything taken care of, really there's no rush and there's no real need to make any severe changes in your life right now.
I agree with that 100%, because oftentimes there's oftentimes something in life that will happen to people that encourages them to change, whether it be good or bad. But if somebody keeps, and there's a difference between helping and enabling, but I think a lot of what what officials want to do with this homeless stuff, I get it. Sometimes a family, for a reason, they need a place to stay, but there is a lot of enabling going on, and I agree 100%. If you keep enabling that behavior, there will be nothing to happen in that person's life that would encourage them to change or want to do something different. And I'm not saying that's applicable in every single case of homelessness, but that is largely because of it. If you had a chance, Ed, to sit down and chat with one of these leaders, thought leaders, politicians, whatever fancy term we're throwing on these folks nowadays, if you had a chance and you had like 60 seconds, Ed, 60 seconds, what would you say to one of these folks who want to build a utopian-like homeless shelter here in town?
Consider all the options, but cover all the bases. Cover all the bases. Not just. Let's make sure they have a shelter. Let's figure out why you and I are having this conversation. What got us here? So if you don't address the origin of why we're having this conversation, you and I are going to have the same conversation 30 days, even 3 days down the road. So all this money, all this help solves nothing.
Yeah.
You'll see me there's here just in Boonville. There's guys men and women that will make a circle through many shelters, and then we're on the circle. You all are on the circle.
How do you feel that education plays a key factor? When you were here with us, you shared you have a specific skill set and are kind of able to get by helping folks in your local community with hands-on projects and rehabilitation. Do you think that might help some folks?
Education is not the end all, because you got to understand some of the homeless people I've met over the years are genius level, smart, highly educated. There's a guy I'm dealing with right now who was a school teacher, and he lives out on the street. And he got started drinking, and now he's out on the street. He used to be a school teacher just down the road.
All right, so if you had a chance to talk to these people, basically you would say, I might come pick you up, Ed, take you to a city council meeting. I want you to get up and say, I'm Ed, I'm homeless, and a lot of what you're trying to do here, it just won't work. And by the way, and ask these thought leaders, these city leaders, these politicians, have you guys sought the input from honest to goodness homeless people? Ed, final question before we let you go. I don't know your last name, and I don't think you know my last name, and maybe we should keep it that way. But when I was talking about that you were going to be here with a very unique perspective, you are homeless. You have some bona fide thoughts and opinions on this idea of building a homeless shelter in town. I call you Ed the homeless guy because I don't know your last name. And Hannah's reaction when I say Ed the homeless guy is here at 6:35 this morning.
I was like, Branden, no.
So
that's rude.
I know, and I don't mean to be rude. So for future reference, if you come back and hang out with us here on Wake Up Columbia, do I say Ed a homeless guy? Ed the homeless guy? Do we just call you Ed?
Wow, that's quite a question. That's a pretty loaded question.
All right, well, let's do this. You think about that for a couple weeks, and then we'll have you back on, and you let us know what you've come up with, okay?
That would be great. I really do appreciate you having me on again.
All right, we appreciate your point of view. Ed, God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. I love this guy, man. He's homeless, been homeless for a long time, won't accept government help, spends his time in Boonville when he can helping other people, lives under a bridge, gets help from a church, goes out and he makes just enough money to do what it is that he needs to do. And I've asked him before, okay, so you're doing all this stuff, you're getting along, but what about this? Are you happy, Ed? Do you feel content? And he said, yeah, I do. Very happy.
I see no great cause for alarm based on that early reporting. What am I missing about this story?
All right, Bill Hemmer of Fox yesterday speaking with Francis Collins, saying, okay, why are people freaking out about this new variant that has 7 different enunciations? He's asking Francis Collins, director of the National Institutes of Health, what am I missing if we're hearing from these doctors in South Africa that, hey, it's nothing to worry about? What am I missing? How did Francis Collins answer that question? That's coming up at 6:52 here on 93.9. The Eagle. Bless your Doman of the day. Dumb people in the news doing dumb things. That shooting suspect at that school, Michigan. Is he talking yet? Fox has that story coming up at 7 o'clock here on 93.9. The Eagle. This is Wake Up Columbia. Good morning, I'm Branden Rathert, Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau. I'm guessing I'm going to stereotype. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to stereotype and guess you're going to be dropping a bunch of money here over the next 4 weeks or so if you're going to be doing that shopping. Just a quick glance even at the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau website, bbb.org, I think would be really valuable for you. And here's why I think you'd like it. You get onto the website and you might say, hey, are there any alerts, any online scams, anything locally happening as it relates to Christmas shopping? Because there's, scammers come out this time. It's Christmas time for the scammers too. But the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau wants to protect you. So log on to their website. Just give it a quick glance every morning before you go shopping. Learn more from the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau at bbb.org.
This is Wake Up Columbia, featuring Branden Rathert on 93.9 The Eagle.
I see no great cause for alarm based on that early reporting. What am I missing about this story?
That's Bill Hemmer of Fox yesterday. He says, okay, so this Omicron variant, however you pronounce it, we're hearing all kinds of different things. Dr. Angelique Coetzee, chairwoman of the South African Medical Association. She's in South Africa. Here's what she says.
Currently, there's no reason for panicking as we don't see severely ill patients.
So there's no reason for panicking. I think she was the same one the other day who we quoted on the show here yesterday. She is saying, listen, there's mild symptoms. They're unusual compared to the regular virus, if you will. She says, but they're pretty mild. Francis Collins, so how did he answer Bill Hemmer's question? He's like, what am I missing here? What's going on?
So I've been on Zoom calls with the leaders of the South African public health system. They're worried that may have been a premature declaration of mildness of the illness because most of the early cases were in college students who tend not to get very sick anyway.
So it's premature declaration, which everybody hates because you get a premature declaration and people get upset. Because you have, well, they want this side wants this, and you have Dr. Fauci, who's trying to scare the hell out of us, again, when he says things like this.
Prepare for the worst.
Prepare for the worst. So Francis Collins, NIH, saying, yeah, this is premature. By the way, coming up 7:35, Dr. Marc Johnson, MU Healthcare. He's going to be hanging out with us. He's the guy who sifts through... Was this the same guy, Hannah, that was on a couple of months ago or on early this year? It may have even been last year.
I think it was probably last year.
Goodness. Past 2 years have been insane. This guy sifts through feces to determine where we are with coronavirus here in town. Goes through the sewage, and he's here. We'll probably chat more about that. And as I recall, Hannah, didn't he have a pretty good sense of humor?
Oh, yeah. He knew darn well that he has a dirty job that people like to kind of laugh at.
He'd make Mike Rowe proud.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good job. It makes me think of, I studied all these years to be a lawyer, right? And shout out to my utility friends who I know some of them listen. But one of my first assignments as a real lawyer, I had to write a brief, and it was about a sewer case. And I'm like, literally, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars getting this education, and I am literally writing about the flow of other people's.
And you might go through this too, being an attorney. And I bet this Dr. Marc Johnson, I bet probably for a while it's fun. But when you do that and it's highly publicized like it is with this doctor, you got to know everywhere he goes. People ask, so what is it like, man? But after a while, it's got to get tiring. Do you go through the same thing with being an attorney? People are, oh, well, what do you do? Have you ever, had the judge be dumbfounded because you came back with a vicious statement, mic drop moment?
I mean, people right now are so into true crime that a lot of people have questions about criminal law, which I don't practice. So, but yeah, I would think his job is like what we were talking about funeral directors yesterday, that like where with your funeral director, you can make like one dead people joke that like he's like, okay, one feces joke, a hangout, and I'm over it, right?
When I was younger, when I was a DJ at a top 40 radio station playing a bunch of Britney Spears records, people would find out and say, oh, you're a DJ, huh? Of course, I'd be, no, I'm not a disc jockey. I'm an air talent, man. Nobody cared. But they said, well, show us what you do. And I'm like, no, what do you mean? Like if you were a proctologist and I approached you at a party and said, hey, you're a proctologist, show me what you do. You wouldn't do that.
I mean, not unless they bought you dinner first.
Gosh.
Omicron variant.
That's
variant.
I like that one. I think that's my preference.
There's so many different. There's Omicron. There's this one.
Omicron has.
Is that Omicron? Omicron. And there's no official enunciation on it yet. Who said that? I thought somebody said there's no official enunciation.
Oh, Brian did. He said it could be Omicron or Omicron, but it's definitely not Omnicron.
It's time for the Doment of the Day with Branden Rathert on 93.9 The Eagle.
Your Doment of the Day, dumb people in the news doing dumb things. Or sometimes just interesting stories. like this one. Thought you'd enjoy this. Deer hunting. Man, hunters got bagged a bunch of deer this year. I want to say close to 200,000, maybe more. One of those in Monroe County, it was an antlered doe, which aren't non-existent, but not incredibly normal either. Not the first time an antlered doe has been harvested in Missouri. An 18-year-old shot a doe with antlers in Lafayette County about 3 years ago, and that's your Domint of the Day.
He's not talking. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. So the question of why remains a mystery in Michigan the day after a 15-year-old sophomore, now in custody, is accused of shooting classmates at Oxford High School.
It wasn't a drill, so we all hid, and it was really scary.
3 students died, 1 on the way to the hospital. 8 others were injured, some critically. Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard says the gun used was bought last week by the father, but the boy...
He had been shooting with it and had posted pictures of a target and the weapon.
There was also gunfire at a high school basketball game last night in Humboldt, Tennessee, involving adults, not students. 2 were shot. 1 died. There is a person in custody. They're mourning a dead police officer in Clayton County, Georgia.
They responded last night to a domestic dispute call. They found a 12-year-old boy who had been shot in the face, and as the officers approached, they say a suspect started shooting at them. Those officers took cover. The SWAT team then moved in, and that's when the suspect got into a gunfight with the SWAT team. Other SWAT team members did shoot and kill the suspect. They then went into the home and found 2 women who had also been killed.
That's Mark Teichner with Atlanta's Fox 5 TV. While we wait for more info on the new COVID variant, the CDC said late last night it's working on revising air travel rules.
A revised order would mean all international travelers would have to be tested for COVID just 1 day prior to their departure for the United States. Under current guidelines, vaccinated travelers must receive a negative test no more than 3 days before heading to the U.S.
That's Fox's Sean Langell. In 2 hours, the Supreme Court will hear a key case that it could undermine the Roe v. Wade abortion precedent involving Mississippi's blocked law banning abortions at 15 weeks of pregnancy. Republican State Attorney General Lynn Fitch tells Fox,
Roe v. Wade has pitted women against their children, woman against woman.
Pro-choice advocates believe women's rights are on the line. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor. And we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Right now, 46 is our current temperature in Columbia. It's 45 degrees in Jefferson City. Sunshine today with a high of 63. Clear tonight, low near 45. And then the outlook for tomorrow on Thursday. Sunny, even warmer with a high of 70 degrees. Welcome to December. Good morning, everyone. Attorneys for the second suspect in a deadly November shooting incident outside Vibes in downtown Columbia are requesting a bond reduction. 28-year-old Todd Nesbitt is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. He is jailed without bond. He is scheduled to appear in Boone County Circuit Court this morning at 9. Online court records show he has previous misdemeanor convictions for drugs, driving while revoked, resisting arrest, and domestic assault. He was also charged with felony domestic assault in July. He was released, though, after posting a $5,000 bond. A state lawmaker who represents part of Columbia in southern Boone County pre-filing legislation later today. It is aimed at repealing Missouri's new gas tax. Ashland Republican Representative Sarah Walsh telling my colleague 93.9 The Eagle's Branden Rathert she will pre-file the bill today. Missouri lawmakers approved the bipartisan gas tax last year. It increases Missouri's gas tax by 2.5 cents per gallon for 5 years, a total of 12 cents. It was the first gas tax increase in Missouri in 25 years. Missouri Secretary of State says it's time to overturn Roe versus Wade. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft will be speaking this afternoon at an Overturn Roe event in front of the Missouri Supreme Court in Jefferson City. Ashcroft and others will pray for the unborn at the 12:30 event. He says we are all created in the image of God. Is it a matter of time before the new variant gets to Missouri?
Missouri scientists are testing wastewater at nearly 100 locations throughout the state in search of the new mutation of the virus that causes COVID-19. The Omicron variant was identified in Canada on Monday. Wastewater samples provide an early indication of the new variant's presence and were used to monitor the Delta variant's arrival in Missouri earlier this year. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
Good weather is expected to boost turnout for tonight's Festival of Lights Christmas lights display in Fulton. That lighting ceremony will start at 5:30 at Veterans Park in Fulton. The Callaway County Salvation Army will be serving cookies and hot chocolate. Fulton area residents can donate to the holiday display by donating LED lights. You can also make a monetary donation. The popular Living Windows event in downtown Jefferson City is expected to bring several thousand people to downtown on Friday evening in the capital city. Last year's event canceled due to COVID concerns. Downtown Association spokesperson Angela Nail says Living Windows is one of the biggest events of the year in Jefferson City.
We have people who come from all over the state of Missouri. They come to Jefferson City for Living Windows on Friday night, and they stick around for the parade on Saturday. So we're expecting, I would have to say, 3,000 plus people in downtown Jefferson City.
There'll be singers and dancers in downtown storefront windows. Santa Claus will be at Hawthorne Bank as well. Living Windows 6 to 9 Friday. Saturday afternoon's parade will start at 4:30, and all those events are free. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning live by the Candy Factory. The Candy Factory gets you set up with delicious chocolate gifts to show your appreciation this holiday season. Stop by the Candy Factory in downtown Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:06. In sports, the Blues were down yesterday evening 3-0 in the first period alone, 3-0 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. They did rally, got it into overtime, then into a shootout, and they beat the Lightning 4-3 in that shootout last night, Enterprise Center in downtown St. Louis. Jordan Binnington, outstanding again for the Blues. 30 saves. St. Louis now in the year 12-7-3. Our sports brought to you by Club Car Wash. Visit clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. All right, John, thanks. Our weather is brought to you by Club Car Wash. You can get an unlimited membership for just $20 a month. ClubCarWash.com. Find a location near you. 46 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Roads right now appear to be quiet in mid-Missouri, certainly here in the Columbia area. If you do want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Here we go. Men title. Well, I'm not going to read it all. Just sign it. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to turn this over now to Brian. He's going to moderate the rest, but I warn you, I'm going to intervene with questions with your permission. Isn't this a pretty place?
Isn't this a pretty place? Biden sitting around vacantly staring. Isn't this a pretty place? And started to read the name of the bill that he was signing. Somebody's like, Joe, just don't talk. Just here's a pen. Sign the damn bill. Oh, okay, I'll just sign it. Right, and it's funny, but that guy is he's issuing edicts. Hey, healthcare professionals, you got to be vaccinated. Hey, anybody that has a workplace where there's 100 people or more, you got to put this stuff in your body. He's the guy who's doing that stuff, and we have a guy on our side. His name is Eric Schmitt. He is the Missouri Attorney General, and he is a lot of things. Prompt maybe isn't one of them, because he's supposed to be here right now. So we're working on getting the Attorney General here to talk about some of these recent decisions that are favorable to us.
Yeah, but is Biden the one making all of those decisions? And that's really, I think the scarier part is, given his current mental status, is he being manipulated by people, who we don't even know the names of necessarily?
Well, and what's funny, you say this, where he was signing this bill, they give him the bill, and he starts reading it. And I'm not exaggerating. Man, I feel like a cop, and you've pulled somebody over, the first thing you look at is their eyeballs if you suspect. And that's what Joe looks like. He just looks like he's dazed and confused. Joe is the guy. That's the guy who's making all of these decisions, man. And courts are overturning them. We can thank, in part, our Attorney General, Eric Schmitt, also running for U.S. Senate 2022. Eric, number one, we thank you for what it is that you're doing. I want to ask you personally, though, when this first ruling came down, I said, hey, you know what, Eric? Judge said, you might be onto something here, Mr. Schmitt. We're going to hold this as it relates to healthcare workers. I know the answer you want to give is, well, we were happy and we moved forward on to the next thing. But seriously, man, how did you feel? That's a huge temporary victory.
Yeah, well, I felt like I'm not tired of winning yet, So,
there you go. Points.
So much winning.
Oh, man. And you're not kidding.
Look, I'm not kidding. Well, here's the thing. I actually feel really good about all three of these cases. So we were the first to file on all three of them. There's the healthcare worker mandate, there's the federal contractor mandate, and then there's the private employer OSHA mandate. And the truth of the matter is, if you boil them all down, there's a lot of legal arguments being made, obviously, factual statements being made. But at the heart of it, there's just no authority at all for the federal government under the Constitution or any statutory authority to require vaccinations of tens of millions of Americans. It just doesn't exist. And but still, you don't ever count on any chickens, and you just don't know how these things are going to ultimately play out. But we feel good about it. And then we had the first victory in the country on Monday. There's a nationwide, so we were the lead with 10 states for the healthcare worker mandate. We won, which halted that. And then yesterday, late afternoon, the other 40 states got their injunction. So these are all very, very positive developments. And I think not only just for the vaccine mandate, but also just for the idea that one person or one branch or one agency, can't ad hoc sort of make these things up as they go along. We're still a country that respects the law and the Constitution, and I think that's why we're winning these cases.
Attorney General Eric Schmitt hanging out with us here on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, Hannah, the producer. I'm Branden Rathert. And then locally, and I know there's a lot of things to talk about, but I want to talk about this parental bill of rights pre-filing today. I know you're not pre-filing any legislation, but this relates to what we've seen over the past almost 2 years. More and more parents have learned, man, look at this crap that's happening in schools. We know the problems, the issues that parents are having in the Columbia Public School District. Talk about this lawsuit as it relates to the Moberly School District, because that's kind of a separate issue, but still involves parents.
It does, and it's actually a good segue. So in the last couple of weeks, we filed lawsuits against the Moberly School District and Springfield Public School District for two different reasons. One, we've had parents that have been upset about certain things or asked for information from those school districts. In Springfield, it was about critical race theory. And the Springfield Public Schools District's response was, well, we'll go do the search for those terms that you're asking for, but you're going to have to pay us $100,000+ in advance to do the search. And, of course, that's a barrier. We asked, and they said it's going to cost you $36,000. We said that violates the Sunshine Law. You can't do it, so we're suing you. In Moberly, similar frustration, but on IEPs. So kids with special needs who are seeking different accommodations are being told they can't record the proceedings, which is inaccurate. We started asking questions about what's your process. They wouldn't provide them. And so we sued them to get those documents. And why is that relevant to the Parents' Bill of Rights? Because the critics of this will say, well, look, parents can already get this information. Well, no, they can't. And there's a couple recent examples of why they can't. A lot of school districts, unfortunately, will take the position that people aren't entitled to this information. And so what the Parents' Bill of Rights would do is, on the front end, allow parents to access important information about their child's education, to empower the parents to know what the curriculum is, to know that there are Missouri Empowerment Scholarships, to know what is going on with extracurricular clubs in the school. So just make all the things that are happening transparent and make the schools more accountable. I personally think this is something that should unite people. We'll see if that's true, but it's going to be a big push from our office as we work with legislators this coming session.
I don't disagree that, giving parents more information is important, but, I am a parent. I've sought information from school districts that we've lived in, and sometimes the information I get, I just don't like. And so I think from a parent's perspective, the ultimate thing for parents as far as giving me rights would be to give me more educational freedom, things like the opportunity to send my kid to a charter school or other, have open enrollments and not be confined to the district in which I live. Are you looking at, supporting educational freedom for parents?
Oh, I have. That's been my record as a state senator. I've always supported more options for parents. That's still true. And I think that allowing people, again, it's sort of like what we do with college, right? You get a scholarship and you let parents and kids decide, or young adults decide, where they want to go. And that is philosophically where I'm at. And I think that the problem right now is that parents feel like they're not part of it. And you've had, in Virginia, you had a race for governor where somebody, said the quiet part out loud which was that parents shouldn't have a role in the education. And I think there's this kind of elitist mentality from some school administrators that they know best. And why don't you just, go back home, Mr. or Mrs. Jones, we'll take care of this. And I fundamentally have a problem with that. And I think the parents ought to know what's going on in the school. And if that is uncomfortable for some schools, that to me signifies a problem. But to your question, Stephanie, absolutely, I think those should be options. But we certainly need to, in our public schools right now, make sure parents know exactly what's going on and what's being taught in schools.
Attorney General Schmitt, we appreciate you joining us. I know that the Parents' Bill of Rights has a lot of different components to it, and there's one I'm very interested in. I'd like to get your take on it. It would require DESE to develop basically a transparency portal for parents to view, or really the public to view, but you'd like to see a couple of things. But one of the things you want in there is a list of speakers and guest lectures within each school and related costs for these speakers and guest lectures. How important is that, and is that information being released now?
No, I don't think people have any idea of those kinds of things that are happening in schools. So, curriculum or curricula is one thing, but there's a lot of other things that are happening inside our schools that I don't think parents are aware of. I mentioned extracurricular activities, the speakers or presenters. Because you might have a school say, well, that's not part of the curricula. But if you're bringing in a bombastic speaker talking about the oppression matrix, that ought to be something people should know that's happening in the school. That may not be part of the social studies curriculum, but it's an all-school assembly. So, I think that stuff's very important.
All right, Attorney General Eric Schmitt, before we let you go here on 93.9 The Eagle, appreciate you, because I know right now you're offering a lot of hope to parents. And I wanted to mention this. I've been working with a lot of parents in the Columbia Public School District, and they're sending me numerous copies of email exchanges with officials at the Columbia Public School District. And it breaks my heart. I have friends, people I've known for a lot of years that work there, and I see their names in some of these emails. And when it comes to public records requests, these officials, I got to tell you, from where I sit reading these emails, they're not making it easy. And I'm guessing what they're doing, it's legal, but by George, you're dealing with parents who have kids in that school district. That is complete and utter BS, what I see happening in the Columbia Public School District. I know officials there, they're busy, and they're getting inundated with public records requests because of the way they're handling things. They are creating more work for themselves, so on you. But I've had one parent especially, Mr. Schmitt, that has been very complimentary of your office, apparently taking the time to work with her because, and she's sending me these emails, the email exchanges, and they're just throwing up, the school district seems to be throwing up roadblocks every step of the way. I promise you, they are not making it easy. Is that kind of your experience too? What are you seeing?
Yeah,
okay.
And that's why we've had to file these lawsuits against two school districts where people are asking questions. And I think for some of these bureaucrats or administrators, they got this thing backwards, right? Like they don't understand, or they need to be reminded that the parents are in charge. Yeah. The taxpayers pay for, so when you limit, like in Springfield, they limit the number of speakers to 10 speakers at a meeting. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah. These parents have a right to go up there and ask school board members questions, hold administrators accountable. This isn't your social experiment, and I think that's why this is totally backwards. And by the way, if their complaint is that they're getting public records requests, they would argue that it's probably the way they've handled requests in the past and currently, and also should be fully supportive of the Parents' Bill of Rights then, where all that stuff's out there already. Yeah. And then you don't have to worry about compiling the documents that people are already out there.
That's my argument. They're making more work for themselves because they're not doing it right in the first place. They're trying to be very covert. Oh, CRT, it's not in the curriculum. Yeah, but it's in the school. Quit BSing me, giving me the straight answer. These are my kids. And I got to say this, since we've been highlighting this in the ineptitude, and really, this, seriously, you can talk about politicians and what they do and sleeping around and money. When you're in the position that a lot of these people in the Columbia Public School District specifically are in, what they are doing and how they're treating these parents and making it difficult to get information, one of the most dastardly things I have been a part of, and I'm not exaggerating, one of the most disgusting things I have witnessed in a long time, because you're talking about parents. These parents aren't trying to be a pain in the ass. They're trying to make sure their kids are okay. And I will tell you this, I've had more than one parent that is incredibly appreciative of the help, Mr. Schmitt, that your office, that the time that you have been taking to help these parents. It's just incredible. Anything else we can do to be of service today?
Well, I appreciate what you guys do. I mean, I think that some of the information that's coming out from, mid-Missouri and Columbia and this stuff is, as you've articulated, highlights the need for these things. And my job, look, I handle all the flack that comes my way and the liberal editorial boards. It drives them nuts that I'm willing to take these issues on, because a lot of people won't do it. But that's fine. That's a badge of honor, because at the heart of it is my job, and I believe this sincerely, is to advocate on behalf of that parent who just wants the best for their kid, and they want to be able to record the IEP meeting and they're being blocked, or a parent that wants to know, like, this CRT stuff's really destructive. Is it being taught in my schools? And the school district won't tell them.
And it goes back to what they're doing. And it's not.
I'm their lawyer.
It's not. Yeah, it's not illegal, but they're not making. I would think as a school, okay, so the law says we can't record, but let's help you. Let's find a way so that you're comfortable with what's happening with your child. And they're just not. I'm not saying every single person. What I'm seeing, they're not doing. Eric, Mr. Schmitt, I'm out of time. I got to go. Thank you so much for your time. Anything that we can do for the Attorney General's office or to be of service to folks here in Missouri, let us know.
All right, guys. Have a great morning.
All right, thank you, Attorney General Eric Schmitt. What's hot with Hannah coming up a few minutes from now? What do you got for us today?
A very divisive topic is being discussed on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
Hannah's starting to fire again.
That's what I do.
7:29-ish, we'll do it for you here on 93.9 The Eagle.
Let's go. Wake up Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle.
Stay with us. 7:35. Doctor who sifts through raw sewage to determine how much coronavirus we have in Columbia. He's going to be joining us at 7:35. Right now it's 7:25-ish, which means it's...
Sorry, it's 7:29.
Time for What's Hot with Hannah.
So I started controversy on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page again. This time it's about Christmas music, and I've asked the family to weigh in on how they're feeling about local radio stations playing Christmas music.
We're doing it on 98.3 The Dove, and I hate mentioning other radio stations, but I love what they're doing on The Dove. What are people saying as a whole?
Very mixed. So I've asked, it's one of those respond with a GIF in the comments type of posts, and some of them are pretty entertaining.
Be interesting to see what your neighbors are saying. Go to the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. Christmas music on the radio. What do you think? Let us know. Right now, I have your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast. Some sun coming out today, high 63. But check this out. After we get over a low of 45 tonight, tomorrow, sunny and 70. Feel Good Friday, 67. Right now, 50. Stop by Club Car Wash. You can get an unlimited membership, only $20 a month. Get more details by going to clubcarwash.com. You can also find the location nearest you.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. Witnesses say the 15-year-old boy suspected of killing 3 students, wounding 8 people at his high school in Oxford, Michigan, knocked on doors pretending to be with the sheriff's department, telling people it was safe to come out.
The 3 young people who lost their lives were just 14, 16, and 17 years old, 2 girls and a boy. Deputies confronted the shooter within 5 minutes of the first 911 calls, and he gave himself up without any kind of a fight. At the police station, he refused to answer any questions and asked for an attorney.
Fox's Garrett Tenney. The drug company Pfizer is asking for approval of its coronavirus vaccine as a booster shot for 16 and 17-year-olds.
The U.S. and other countries are encouraging booster doses for anyone eligible to get them, that effort intensifying as the Omicron variant spreads across the globe. Pfizer's CEO tweeting, "It is our hope to provide strong protection for as many people as possible, particularly in light of the new variant."
Fox's Steve Rappaport. America's listening to Fox News.
.939 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. What a beautiful morning we have here in mid-Missouri. It's clear skies right now. We have a temperature of 48 degrees, expecting a high today of around 63. Clear skies tonight with the overnight low around 45. Even warmer tomorrow, sunny, and a high of 70 degrees. 47 right now in Columbia. Good morning, and here's some of the stories we are working on at this hour. A key Missouri lawmaker plans to file 2 education-related bills this morning in Jefferson City. Powerful House Education Committee Chair Chuck Basie tells 93.9 The Eagle one bill he'll file would allow a recall of school board members. The other one creates a petition process. It gives citizens an opportunity to place items on local school board agendas. Meantime, attorneys for the second suspect in that deadly November shooting incident outside Vibes in downtown Columbia requesting a bond reduction. 28-year-old Todd Nesbitt is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. He is jailed without bond. He'll be in court this morning at 9. Online court records show that he has previous misdemeanor convictions for driving while revoked, drugs, resisting arrest, domestic assault as well. Missouri Secretary of State says it is time to overturn Roe versus Wade. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft will be speaking at the Missouri Supreme Court in front of it coming up a little bit later today. 12:30 is that event. Ashcroft says he'll also pray for the unborn at the event. Popular Living Windows event expected to bring several people to downtown Jefferson City. That will take place Friday evening. Last year's event canceled due to COVID concerns. It's one of the biggest events of the year in Jefferson City. Living Windows 6 to 9 on Friday. Saturday afternoon's parade at 4:30, and good weather expected tonight for the Fulton Festival of Lights Christmas light display in Fulton. That ceremony will start at 5:30 at the Veterans Park. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you on this Wednesday morning by the folks at Missouri Heart Center, comprehensive cardiovascular care in the heart of Missouri. MoHeartCenter.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:33. In sports, the Blues overcoming a 3-0 deficit. They rallied last night, beating the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-3 in a shootout at the Enterprise Center in downtown St. Louis. Binnington had 30 saves for the Blues. The Blues right now on the year 12-7-3. Our sports brought to you this hour by Missouri Heart Center, comprehensive cardiovascular care in the heart of Missouri. MoHeartCenter.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
And our traffic check is brought to you by MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. It's 7:34, 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Roads have been pretty quiet right now in mid-Missouri. If you do have an accident you need to report or tell us about, let us know. Give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
He had the Republicans hating him. He had the media never really liked him. And that's why he had to resign. I did not want him to resign in the beginning because I believed him. And I thought that you don't resign, you ask for due process. And leave the women alone and let due process take care of the situation.
That's Chris Cuomo, and I did not know this until yesterday. He has a radio show. He does the radio show and then goes to CNN and takes out some crayons and starts writing his stories for the night. So he said that, and I love this at the end. He's talking about his brother. Well, you know, the Republicans hated him and the media hated him. That's why he had to leave. No, that's not why he left office. But here's the best part of this whole thing.
And I thought that you don't resign, you ask for due process. And leave the women alone and let due process take care of the situation.
Hours after that phone call, due process took its toll on Chris Cuomo. Indefinitely suspended from CNN. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. There's Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
By the way, Stephanie, I love this jacket. If you're watching, go to YouTube, search 93.9 The Eagle Live. Put it up on your smart TV in the house. Everybody run around in the house in the morning, and you can put up the TV. That way you get all the local news and stuff like that. Interesting guest, like this doctor we're getting ready to talk to about sewage and how it's beneficial to research when it comes to the coronavirus. But Stephanie's like wearing almost like a faux military jacket like my parents, when they were both in the Air Force, used to wear, and I love it. It looks good. You wear it well.
Thank you.
Brian Hauswirth decked out in stripes in Mizzou gear today.
Got Mizzou in honor of, well, hopefully a bowl game. We'll find out, obviously, on Sunday what the status is, but completed another season of scoreboards, and want to give a quick note to Veterans United. Thank them for taking me around on a golf cart last night to their lighting display. I'll have that story on Monday, because the event out there is going to start on Tuesday. More than 1 million lights last night. It's amazing.
As a matter of fact, someone from VU is going to be joining us tomorrow to talk about. So when you go and look at the lights at Veterans United, we'll have somebody on the show tomorrow. Will give us some little Easter eggs, maybe, kind of, that you'll have to look for when you actually go through the lights. Also, Shelter's getting ready to do theirs, doing the preview tonight for Shelter Insurance. A couple of folks very important to our community, Shelter Insurance and Veterans United and the Zimmer Radio Group, which features Hannah, the producer, who's
Good morning.
Decked out in green today.
Yeah, I've got my Mama Tried shirt on. It's going to be a good day.
Your Mom, I Tried?
Mama Tried. Like the song.
Oh, okay.
Come on, man.
I don't know country music.
You don't know the song Mama Tried?
No.
We're bumping out with that after we talk to the doctor.
Let's do it. Let's talk to Dr. Marc Johnson. Been on Doctor, welcome into the show. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you could be here. Dr. Marc Johnson, MU Healthcare. You're the same. I think did we speak earlier this year? Was it last year about what it is that you're doing in trying to determine how prevalent the coronavirus here in Columbia is?
Yeah, we spoke before, but who knows when? Time has no meaning anymore since the pandemic.
Right? Okay, so
I think it was this year.
Because I'm not the only one. I was asking Hannah this morning, like, was it this year or last year? And it is weird. It's all kind of a blur now. So before we talk about what it is that part of what you do for a living, have you dug around in sewage stuff before for other research?
No, not at all.
Really?
No, I am a virologist. I have studied viruses for most of my life, but I had never even considered working with wastewater before.
I can imagine when you're showing up at Christmas parties and at Thanksgiving dinner when people start talking about the current work, because we all do it. Stephanie is an attorney. I'm sure people ask her all the time about her work. Everybody does this. How is it?
That's great. I never had a sense of humor before, but there is just no end to the number 2 puns.
I was telling Branden how one of my first jobs as a lawyer was to write about wastewater because I do utility law, but people don't realize how important those things are, how expensive it is, and yeah, I mean, if you have an infrastructure, a water or sewer problem, you have major problems. So
yeah, it's really interesting and really complicated, and I never thought I would know this much about it.
We're glad you do.
Dr. Marc Johnson, MU Healthcare, he's a virologist sifting through sewage. Now, I'm wanting to paint a picture like you're out there in gloves and hip boots, and you're out actually in the sewage dipping stuff. Is that an accurate picture?
Well, usually I don't have to use a snorkel when I do the dive. I rarely go there. Okay. Fortunately, we have collaborators at all of the wastewater treatment facilities who actually do the collections and put them in nice little boxes. So every morning it's like Christmas, and there's sometimes 60 or 80 boxes of excrement waiting for me at the doorstep.
And is it at least packaged in vials or?
Yeah, it's in nice little vials. Actually, when you see them, they're very discreet. You get used to it very quickly, and it doesn't. The only time it smells is when at the end where we dump out the parts that we're not going to use. But no, it's in vials and then double bagged and then in styrofoam, and we disinfect it all through the process.
So whose job is it to get the samples, though? That's what I'm wondering.
That's the wastewater treatment operators, but fortunately they were doing it anyway. So these are composite samples. They have a machine that takes out a sample every 15 minutes or half hour and puts it into a jug, and then they just pour out of that jug once a week.
So what kinds of things are you learning in your research? Are you not only, so I think the prevalence of the virus, but also I know they were testing for the different variants. Is that something you're doing as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a big part of what we're doing. It's been pretty boring the last few months because I haven't detected a single strand of anything but Delta in months. But it was really exciting in the spring when we were seeing pretty much the entire Greek alphabet every week.
Like alphabet soup, but it's feces.
Yeah. It's been mostly Alpha and Delta this year. It was Alpha and then displaced by Delta in May and June, and that's all we've seen since.
So you haven't seen Omicron?
Not yet. It hasn't been spotted in the U.S. yet that I'm aware of, but every wastewater group that's doing this is very anxiously looking at their data to see when it arrives or if it arrives.
Is it going to be like the lottery? Is the first person who spot it be like, woohoo, I got, and have a little celebration for themselves?
I hope not. I think we were the first group to spot the Delta variant in May, but because for whatever reason, and I still don't understand this, the Delta wave started in Missouri, and it actually started in Branden was the first place we spotted it, and then it just swept the state over about a 3-week period. But I think we were this first wastewater group to really spot Delta in a big way in the U.S.
I did not know that
the outbreak in Lynn County. That was about a week after we first spotted it.
So Delta was first discovered in Missouri. I didn't know that.
No, it wasn't first discovered in Missouri. It was actually one of the India variants, but then it moved to the U.S. But the first place where it sort of really took hold was Arkansas, Missouri. There were actually cases in Arkansas a little before it, but then first place we saw it was in Branden, but then Missouri was the first place to be really hard hit by the wave.
I didn't
but the
know
good side of that is we were also the first place to crest. So
let me ask you this: what do you find? I know you're specifically looking for something, but in your research as a virologist, MU Healthcare, I know you're looking for this thing. But do you accidentally find other stuff in sewage? Like, what do you find?
Well, occasionally we find lineages that haven't been seen in patients. That hasn't happened much in Missouri, but there have been occasions where there's lineages that just don't match what's been found in patients. And we don't know yet. I mean, like you've heard about we think that it spilled over into deer. It might have spilled over into other animals that actually are contributing to our wastewater that we might be picking up. And we've also done unbiased sequences just to see what viruses are in the sewage that we weren't looking for, and so there's lots of new stuff in there.
So as a virologist, what do you know about the flu? Because there's a kind of a hot debate going on right now, since we didn't technically see a lot of flu last year, that we might see more flu this year. And I think even in Colombia they were reporting that The last couple of weeks have been kind of hot for flu. So are you finding anything out about that, or do you have any predictions?
I'm still waiting to see whether we can even detect flu in wastewater. It's a little bit trickier because it's mostly in the lungs. The thing about COVID is it also infects your gut, your GI tract.
Sure.
And that's probably why we can detect it so well, is because it's replicating very close to the exit, if you know what I mean. Whereas the flu doesn't, at least in humans, doesn't infect your guts very much, and so probably not as much signal in the wastewater. So we haven't done a lot with it yet, but that is something we're interested in. But yes, I've heard that the cases are up this year.
Dr. Marc Johnson, virologist, MU Healthcare. Anything else that you want to add as you talk about your responsibilities right now, sifting through sewage to determine what's happening as it relates to the coronavirus specifically? By the way, maybe you can clear up some of this for us. So here's what we're hearing as far as the enunciation.
The Omicron.
Omicron. We're also hearing
The Omicron.
Omicron. We're hearing
Omicron.
Omicron. Omicron or Omicron. I want to hear it straight from a
They're both
virologist.
technically correct, but I think we're going to settle on Omicron because then we can call it the big O.
I like where your head's at this morning, Doctor. Hey, thank you so much. If there's ever anything that we can do for you and the folks at MU Healthcare, please let us know here at 93.9 The Eagle, okay?
No, you can just encourage people to get vaccinated, and then we can stop dealing with all this.
Well, if you want to get vaccinated, go and get vaccinated. Coming up a little bit after 8 o'clock this morning, this guy from Real Clear Investigations. This whole Russian collusion thing? Remember how big this was? Like every day, USA Today and all these newspapers and CNN and MSN, Russian collusion, Trump did this. And then remember the Mueller investigation and the impeachment. And remember all those things and nothing ever materialized. And then we learned, this whole Russian Trump conspiring with Russians to defeat. And then we learned recently.
It basically all goes back to Hillary.
Yeah. It's not true.
It's all false.
It's all false. And you know that because all these news outlets have been tripping over themselves to correct their inaccuracies, lies, and falsehoods. No, they haven't. There was a guy by the name of Aaron Mate. He does investigations for Real Clear Investigations. He has 5 media collusion corrections that we need right now. He's going to be joining us at 8:10 here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live. And coming up 7:51, we're going to be highlighting. A lot of folks want to help during the holidays. What can I do to help? Where can I go and see lights? We know right now Veterans United, Shelter Insurance, the next couple of days, they're doing things. Folks personally all across mid-Missouri, they have lights. Folks also want to know how they can help. So we have been doing our 93.9 The Eagle Christmas Wish with Culligan Water. You can learn more about that on 93.9theeagle.com. And then a holiday tradition comes back. We have details on that, how you can be a part of that, coming up at 7:51 on 93.9 The Eagle. Hannah's sporting a shirt today that says Mama
Tried.
Mama Tried.
From the Merle Haggard song, Mama Tried.
Oh, yeah. I know Merle Haggard. Yeah.
Seriously.
All right, so that's what and I said I wasn't familiar with the song. Here it is. Yeah, I knew it. You know that song where he says, Mama, what's that song where he sings Mama Tried? What's the name of that song?
Mama Tried?
That's it.
Wake Up Columbia. News, analysis, opinion, and Hannah the producer. 93.9 The Eagle.
Best music I've heard on the show yet. Love the Hag. That's from Ralph. So Hannah's wearing a shirt today, and I thought it was Mama Cried, which would make sense coming. I thought it was a gift from your mom to you.
Wow.
Mama Cried.
Ouch.
Because
Ouch.
I know where you get your sense of humor from, and it's your mom. And I could totally see your mom buying you a shirt that said Mama Cried, because, look, Hannah's on the verge of maybe not graduating from MU in December. So Mama Cried made sense, but Hannah had to explain Mama Tried.
Yeah, it's the Merle Haggard song, Mama Tried. And when I first said that, you're like, nope, not familiar with it. And I got a little embarrassed for you. Because if the 21-year-old in the room knows the song and you don't, that's sad.
And I used to work country music back in the day.
Even our boss texted me. You want to know what he said?
Yeah.
Let's see. He said, even I know that song.
That's embarrassing. Yeah, my kids said once, when I told them once, hey, I was in the band, and they go, that's embarrassing.
That's so cringe, right?
It's right up there with, I have a lot of friends that work in the funeral industry.
Weird flex.
I
do, though.
I used to date an avid bowler. Those are all lines that have been uttered here on this show.
Did I ever tell you in 2015?
That time that I was supporting Trump and everybody got mad at me because, you got to support Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. So coming up, just a couple of weeks from now, we are so excited for this. We do this every year, and folks they get to ask, hey, when are you guys going to be doing your big 1-for-1, a holiday food drive? It's coming up soon. I can tell you that, all right? It'll be coming up soon. We'll have details posted on our website here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live. You can also watch the show, man. Best thing to do is go to YouTube, search 93.9 The Eagle Live, and then pop us up on your smart TV. Here's the cool thing. You might be thinking, well, who's watching a radio show? Here's the thing. When you're running around in the morning, getting ready for work, getting the kids rounded up, doing whatever, you pop us up on your smart TV on the YouTube channel, and that way everybody hears what's going on. They learn some history on the Hag, Merle Haggard. You get all the latest local news. We know that as it relates to kids this morning. So if you're listening in the house this morning, you're listening to Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle's YouTube channel, watching the show, you get some inside info. You can see this.
You can see my face turn red and me cover my face when Branden makes certain comments.
Accurate.
You can also see my super cute military-style jacket from Madewell that Branden's a big fan of.
I love the jacket. So that's one of the benefits of watching the show on the YouTube channel. Is you get that behind-the-scenes info, and you pop it up on the smart TV, and everybody running around the house, kids this morning. So one of the things you might have heard this morning and kids have learned that our Attorney General, Eric Schmitt, who is here on the show, is talking about a parental bill of rights. You heard us talk about a text from State Rep Chuck Basie talking about pre-file, which is today, which means today state lawmakers can start pre-filing legislation. Chuck Basie says the public school lobby better have plenty of Tums and adult diapers on hand. I love it, man. I need an update from this guy. So yesterday we had a brand new listener forced to listen to Wake Up Columbia because he was working in a truck with a guy that listens to the show. So we checked in with him after a couple of hours of listening.
Well, I think you guys have definitely a new listener. The topics you guys touched, is very important. A lot of talk radio and a lot of newscasts and podcasts. They kind of just say whatever. It seems like it sounds like you guys are more, how can I put it, more real than some of these other talk radios that I've kind of took a gander at, I guess.
Now, Rob, I have a question for you. If
Yes, ma'am.
if you were to not like our show and you were on air with us right now and Branden asked you, would you be honest with us?
Right?
Oh, yeah, I definitely would tell the truth. I'd be like, hey, you guys don't even, you guys suck a little bit, but, yeah.
And that's new listener Rob yesterday. 874-9390. Bill, I got 20 seconds for you. What can I do for you, bud?
Hey, even Rob knows Mama tried. Listen,
Yeah,
hey, Branden.
Yeah.
You do know it's Lukenbach, Texas, not look in the back, Texas.
Waylon and Willie, brother.
Have a good day.
You too, Bill. We appreciate you. Coming up, Fox News. So this person in this school shooting not talking. Or is he yet? He's in custody, 15 years old. Fox has that at 8 o'clock, 8:03. Some Christmas activities here in town with Ryan Hauswirth. And then the media needs to correct media collusion inaccuracy stories. That's at 8:10. Good morning. I'm Branden Rathert for GAP's Automotive Repair Shop. I've got a car, got 132,000 miles on it now. And for the past roughly 60,000 miles or so, GAP's Automotive Repair Shop been taking care of it for me. And that's important, especially if you want to keep your vehicle for a while. And I'm not talking just, oil changes and stuff like that. I'm talking about on the occasion you need some serious work and you want another opinion. You don't have to take your car to the dealership where you bought it from to get it fixed. You can if you want, but you don't have to. You can take it to GAP's Automotive Repair Shop. Their techs, by the way, they're constantly always in training, always learning new stuff. They can work on just about anything. But here's what I like the best. They know my car. It's not just I take it in, they type up the VIN. Oh, yeah, we did this last. No, it's the same guy's been working on my car. And that's why I think you would enjoy GAP's Automotive Repair Shop.
It's loud outside the Supreme Court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Protesters out on both sides of the abortion issue before a big court hearing next hour.
I believe that every abortion ends the life of an innocent, unique, preborn human being. So we want to stop that.
She came from New Jersey to join the pro-life activists. Pro-choice advocates are also demonstrating, fearing women's rights are at risk as the justices consider Mississippi's blocked law that bans abortions at 15 weeks of pregnancy. That's earlier than other Supreme Court rulings have allowed. Why remains a big question in Michigan. The morning after a deadly high school shooting, Fox's Jeff Manasso is following this live.
Dave, Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard says the alleged shooter in the Oxford High School attack still had 7 bullets in his 9mm pistol along with spent clips. As he was approached and arrested yesterday, minutes after he started shooting, killing 3 students and injuring 8 others, including a teacher. As for the 15-year-old suspect,
he is under a lawyer with his parents' refusal to allow him to talk to us.
So far, nothing confirmed on motive. The Oakland County Sheriff's Office and the FBI, they've searched the suspect's home. The gun, we're told, belonged to his father. Dave.
Now, Jeff, one person's dead in Humboldt, Tennessee, after a shooting at a high school basketball game last night involving adults, not students. Another person was injured. A suspect's in custody. A police officer was killed in Georgia responding to a domestic disturbance.
I heard like a set of gunshots, and then probably maybe like a couple minutes later, I heard it was like a shootout.
The suspected gunman was also killed as SWAT officers fired back, and then they found 2 women dead in a home. Another officer and a child were shot and wounded. In Indianapolis, a man with multiple multiple knives, stabbed two police officers early this morning. They then shot and wounded him. The officers are in stable condition. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. 46 right now in Columbia. An absolutely gorgeous morning right now in mid-Missouri. 45 in Jefferson City. Our high today will be 63. Clear skies tonight with the overnight low 45. The outlook for tomorrow, sunshine and a high of 70 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we're working on. Missouri State Treasurer is spending the next 12 business days raising awareness about more than $1 billion, billion with a B, in unclaimed property held by his office. State Treasurer Scott Fitzpatrick says most of that unclaimed property is cash from bank accounts, stocks, safe deposit boxes that have been abandoned. Others are wages from past jobs, former utility deposits. The average return for Missourians is in unclaimed property is $300. You can check to see if you have the unclaimed property by visiting showmemoney.com. We have a link to that on our website, 939theeagle.com. Showmemoney.com. Meantime, pre-filing for Missouri's 2022 legislative session starts here this morning in Jefferson City. Lawmakers in both chambers arriving at the Capitol. Some staff members are filing for them as well. The upcoming session starts January the 5th. Ashwin Republican State Representative Sarah Walsh tells 93.9 The Eagle's Branden Rathert she'll be filing a bill today. It is aimed at repealing Missouri's new gasoline tax. Second suspect in the mid-November shooting outside of Vibes Lounge in downtown Columbia will appear in court here in less than an hour for a bond hearing. 28-year-old Todd Nesbitt is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. He is jailed without bond. His attorney wants a bond reduction. We have more on this case, 939theeagle.com. More than 3,000 people are expected in downtown Jefferson City for the Living Windows on Friday evening. It's one of the most popular events of the year in the capital city. Central Bank's marketing director and Downtown Association spokesperson Angela Nail tells 93.9 The Eagle that Santa Claus will be at Hawthorne Bank. She says you'll also see and hear a variety of singers.
Groups and high school singers and all these different groups in downtown Jefferson City. So they're going to be in a storefront of all the stores and all the different buildings.
Living Windows is Friday from 6 until 9. The tree lighting ceremony at the governor's mansion is at 6. Mansion candlelight tours will be offered Friday evening from 6 until 8. In mild weather expected tonight for the Festival of Lights event at Veterans Park in Fulton. It's also a big event. Lighting ceremony for Fulton's annual Christmas light display starts at 5:30. That display will continue through January the 2nd. The Salvation Army in Callaway County will be on hand. They'll be serving hot chocolate and cookies tonight. Weather should be perfect. Our overnight low will be around 45 degrees, and they'll also have their the trees up as well at the park. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Dr. Kent Willett Dental Associates. Make an appointment now at 573-445-5300, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:06. In sports, pretty good hockey game last night. It goes into overtime, then goes into a shootout. At one time, the Blues were down 3-0 in the first period, no less, to beat a very good hockey team, Tampa Bay, in overtime. And then in shootout, they win. The Blues do 4-3 at Enterprise Center, downtown St. Louis. Bennington had 30 saves for the Blues. They now are 12-7-3 on the year. Sports brought to you this hour by Woods Basement Systems, the most reviewed contractor for all things with your basement. 800-388-9326. Free estimate. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:07. All right, John, thanks, and great to hear your voice. You've done a fine job all week. Our weather is brought to you this hour by Club Car Wash. Visit clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. 47 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com. Find a job or post your job opening today. Boy, yesterday afternoon into the afternoon drive, very busy. Quite a few crashes here in the Columbia area this morning. It's been very quiet. We always like to see that. However, if you want to report a traffic issue, maybe something we're not aware of, don't know about, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Putin, Russian collusion.
Trump, Russian sort of collusion.
Trump, Russian, possible collusion. Trump, Russian, metal collusion. Trump, Russia, possible collusion.
Trump, Russian, potentially collusion.
Trump, Russia, possible collusion.
Trump, Russian, possible collusion.
Trump, Russian, collusion. Trump, Russia, Russian collusion. Trump, Russia, possible collusion. Russian hacked our election. Here comes a big change. Because all of a sudden, Trump, Russian,
and so we know this has all been crap, whether it be the impeachments, the Mueller hearings, collusion. The story really now is what media on this story, and there's a lot of stories, the car that killed those people in that parade in Waukesha, has that car been charged yet? Yeah, that story. Russia collusion, which has been a load of crap, the way people have handled that. We see what happens at CNN. Chris Cuomo gone, suspended indefinitely, which is French for he's been fired. But what about this Russian collusion? I don't see these news outlets coming out and saying, hey, you know all that stuff that we spoon-fed you for the past several years? Yeah, not only was it wrong, but some of it we may have even fudged. I want to bring in Aaron Mate. He does investigations, Real Clear Investigations. You need to check this out, Real Clear Investigations. He he wins the argument already with me. The media lost credibility from an accurate, misleading Trump-Russia journalism. 5 corrections that we need in the media. Aaron, I want to welcome you into the show. So let's say you have a list of here's the 5 most egregious crap lines that we've been fed by CNN, USA Today, MSNBC. Take your pick. What's on that list of, if we said just 5 that need to be corrected right now?
Well, what's funny is for my article, I just picked 5 articles that were written by Pulitzer Prize winners, the highest honor in journalism. But I could have picked so many more. One of the examples on my list is from the New York Times. It's written by a team of Pulitzer Prize-winning reporters. Remember, in 2018, the Times and the Washington Post shared the Pulitzer for their reporting on Trump and Russia. And all of their stories were ridiculous. So one example I give here, this is written by a team of Pulitzer Prize winners, 3 of them. It claimed in February 2017, this is in the New York Times, that Trump campaign associates had repeated contacts with senior Russian intelligence officials in the year leading up to the election, and that there were even intercepted phone calls of these contacts. Well, what happened to those phone calls? Where was the evidence? It's now, more than 4 years later. We've seen no evidence for it. Jim Comey later testified that the story wasn't true. We then got declassified notes from a top FBI agent, Peter Strzok, who also said it wasn't true. The Mueller report had no evidence for these supposed phone calls whatsoever. But yet, where's the retraction? The Times story is still up. And amazingly, the Times even claimed vindication. They said that they've been proven to be correct. So it's just, on this story, there's been no accountability whatsoever for the most farcical claims. I mean, imagine them printing a story saying that Hillary Clinton and her aides had a series of phone calls with senior Russian intelligence officials. There's no way they can get away with that. But because this fit a very convenient narrative, it's been allowed to stand, and people have even celebrated themselves for it and gotten Pulitzer Prize. A Pulitzer Prize for printing stuff like this.
Aaron Mate, he does investigations, Real Clear Investigations. He's hanging out with us this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle. It's Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, Hannah, the producer. My name is Branden Rathert. We're talking about this. We know now this. Well, we knew at the time. A lot of it was crap, but I want to differentiate here. For example, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but to give you an idea of how important of a story this was, the Newtown, Connecticut shooting back in 2012. I won an Edward R. Murrow Award for that. Me as part of a team, which was odd because we were in Pensacola, Florida. Seldomly do you get a station in another part of the country that wins an award for doing work on a story that happened a couple thousand miles away. But one of the reasons we won that is because all the national news outlets ran with the name Ryan Lanza. Ryan Lanza was the suspect. Ryan Lanza was not the suspected gunman. Turns out it was his brother, Adam. But all these news outlets, they went with Ryan, and it wasn't accurate. And just us, a little old radio station in Pensacola, Florida, we did not go with that. And our assumption was correct. It was not Ryan Lanza. It was Adam Lanza. But now most of the news outlets corrected after they got correct information. My point being, sometimes you get bad information, you correct it. But that's not what's happening with these Pulitzer-winning publications.
No, it's not. And I think the reason is because this story is just too big to fail. There's so much more accountability and so much more accurate journalism at local media, like the example you talked about, because people are focusing on issues in their communities and they're accountable to their communities. The national media is more insulated, I think, from real people. And there's been this evolution where increasingly a choice has been made not to engage in, hard-hitting journalism based on the facts, but to spin a narrative, to spin a partisan narrative that these big institutions identify with. And in the case of Trump and Russia, basically the Hillary Clinton campaign, instead of accepting responsibility for losing and being humiliated by Trump, who, did not have the resources that Hillary did, he was obviously the underdog, they went with this whole Russia thing as the reason for their loss, and they turned it into this all-consuming, multi-year narrative and a big investigation. And the media, I think, for many reasons, including that they identify a lot more with the Hillary Clinton campaign than with the Trump campaign, they went with it too. And, it's fine to have political views. I mean, I have mine too. Mm-hmm. But if you're a journalist, your job is to follow the facts. Nah. And that's not what happened here.
Aaron Mate, Real Clear Investigations. You got to check this out. Real Clear Investigations. 5 media collusion corrections that we need right now. And he names journalists, by the way, who've not issued. So this whole Russian collusion thing, for years, it's been crap. What would happen? Because I'm always curious. It's like, I want to call the dude at the New York Times and say, yo, listen, everything you wrote and it's crap. Why are you not issuing a correction? Why are you not making this right? Because I know they're not going to say, well, we have a narrative to push and we'll cry if there's not a Democratic president. We're going to cry and pee our pants until we get our way, so I'm just going to lie. They're not going to tell me that, which is the truth. What would they tell me in your mind? If I called this dude, New York Times, why are you not correcting your crap?
All they've said so far at the Times is we stand by our reporting. That's all they've said.
But recently, you've seen the Durham investigation continues. He has now indicted some of those initial sources. Do you think as that investigation picks up and maybe potentially more indictments come down or a report is issued that at that point they would correct, or are they going to just hold their ground?
If I were a betting man, I would predict they're going to hold their ground, because what they're going to do is see these indictments in the Durham investigation. The most recent one focuses on a source for the Steele dossier. That's the collection of conspiracy theories funded by the Clinton campaign. And the Steele dossier is so transparently ridiculous. The whole idea of, Vladimir Putin is blackmailing Trump with a tape of him with prostitutes, and Michael Cohen flew to Prague to meet secretly with Russian hackers. It's all so dumb that the media had to let that one go. Yeah. What they're doing now is they're saying, all right, fine, Steele, okay, that one was wrong, but the rest of the narrative we got right. So basically they're throwing Steele under the bus. They're picking low-hanging fruit. And that's what I think they're going to try to do until it becomes impossible, is just claim that, all right, Steele was the problem, but everything else we did was right.
Here's one of the things that really concerns me, Aaron. Aaron Mate does investigations, real clear investigations, talking about media collusion corrections that we need, and we're not getting them. We know all of this stuff has been debunked, and nobody is going back and correcting their stuff. Here's the thing that scares me after your investigation, is that we've known for a while, is so many people, in the phrase, I think it's mainstream media, I get tired of that cliche, but I get it. The national news outlets, they all have this story that they want to tell. And the majority, I would say, of Americans, the majority of people who vote, which is scary, the majority of people who make decisions that affect our lives, they go home at night and they're watching one of the three networks. They're watching CNN, MSNBC. They're reading USA Today, and they just believe everything that's being spoon-fed to them. And they make decisions based on things that are lies, things that are designed to make you think a thing that is not true, because that's what liberals do. They want you to do what they want you to do, whether it's mandates or it's lying to you to try to coax your brain into thinking something that isn't true. How do we correct this? And we being, a society, people I don't work in the media. I just host a little radio show here in mid-Missouri, Aaron. So I'm not in the media, and I'm kidding, of course. But that's scary. People make decisions. People decide who they're going to vote on. Look, Joe's in office because of, I'm guessing, lies and crap. How do we correct this as a country, as a society, as responsible people in journalism?
Well, I think there's a public out there, a lot of people who are realizing that they've been misled so often, especially on the Trump-Russia thing, because it was so ridiculous for so many years, this idea that the president of the United States, no matter what you think of him, and I'm personally not a fan, but the idea that he's a Russian traitor, it's so insane that I think that's, a lot of people have left the corporate media behind and seeing for themselves that they just can't rely on these outlets. So I think there's a certain natural process involved where enough people will get disillusioned and go and seek out, sources that they can trust. So
but the problem is they're going to Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Well, yeah. But look, so all we can do, I think, is just do the job, like the best job we can do, and hope that it reaches people. I mean, it's a very tough issue, and the country is so polarized now.
I got to think, Aaron, let me ask you this. Aaron Monte does investigations, real clear investigations. He's hanging out with us here on 93.9 The Eagle. I get frustrated. I got really frustrated when we saw the latest news on this stuff come out a couple of weeks ago that says, man, all that stuff that people tried to build campaigns around so that certain people would get into office, it was all lies. As somebody who works in media, I get frustrated. But even what I do here aside, it's frustrating. It is really heartbreaking because I live here. People around me are making decisions based on lies, based on crap, based on narratives they hear in the mainstream media. That is frustrating for me personally. How is that for you? Because you do investigations on this kind of stuff. But I assume you're also registered to vote. You do some things. What is that like for you personally when you learn about this stuff that you uncovered in this investigation?
Well, I'm in a funny position because politically I identify as a progressive. Bernie Sanders was the candidate who I supported. But I thought this Russia thing was insane. And because of that, I lost some friends and some colleagues who were so bought in. I mean, there's a lot of talk these days about QAnon, the cult QAnon. Well, I call the whole Russiagate thing Blueanon, because Blueanon meant believing in this conspiracy theory that the U.S. was controlled by Russia and the president was being blackmailed by Russia. And there are a lot of people on the liberal progressive side who really believe that. And it was uncomfortable when I started being vocal about it, it basically, that really offended some people I've known for a long time and worked with. So, look, it's been a challenge, but I just think ultimately my job is to follow the facts. And I do believe that the truth ultimately prevails. And even if it doesn't, I have to look myself in the mirror and I have to do the job the way that I think it's appropriate to do.
So as a self-identified progressive, is there something that the right is obsessed with, like the left is obsessed with Russia, that you would kind of draw an analogy to? I mean, that you would say, hey, this is like the right's obsession with X that's turned out to later be false.
Yeah, I think you can draw a comparison between, say, I mean, they're not equal, but the claim that Obama was born in Africa and the whole push to get his birth certificate, that was sort of along a similar lines, where it was this idea that he was from a foreign country, or look, President Trump's thing about stopping the steal, the idea that there was this wide conspiracy to defeat him in 2020. That to me was something similar, though I think Russiagate was worse because it involved a multi-year federal investigation that was completely ridiculous. And the Mueller team, I think, acted very recklessly in bringing charges against people, not because they had anything concrete, but just because they were building a narrative, and they didn't want to acknowledge that the FBI had launched a ridiculous investigation. So, yeah, I do think you can find examples on all sides, but
I'm running out of time here. I don't mean to cut you up, but I got to get this in because listener Alan just kind of echoed Stephanie's sentiments. Alan says Hillary Clinton cried about Russia. Donald has cried about cheating at the polls. So that might be something that's comparable. But I before we let you go, I got to ask you this. And actually, it's not a question, but I thought an interesting observation. You said you're a progressive. Bernie Sanders is your guy, but you're obviously a very good journalist, calling out media outlets and people in media that need to correct this stuff regarding Russian collusion, which just simply did not happen. But you said it was interesting as you did the story, you came out with a factual investigation. You said you've lost some friendships over this, and these were facts?
I'm saying over the years of the whole Trump-Russia thing, when, back in 2017, 2018, when this was like the top story, and to be a liberal, it was like to be a card-carrying liberal, you had to believe that Trump was being controlled by Russia. And yes, so during that time, there were colleagues of mine who I've worked with forever who I fell out with because they were so wedded to this narrative and they were so upset.
Very telling statement. Look for this real clear investigations. Media has lost credibility from inaccurate, misleading Trump-Russia journalism. They are not correcting it. Aaron Mate, who has done this investigation, man, we applaud you for the work that you have done. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, please check that out. Coming up, Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. Try to sneak that in before 8:30. What do you have for us this morning?
Did you ever play The Sims?
No. Is that like you build cities and stuff like that?
Only it's kind of like The Sims, but it's getting more serious.
All right, that's coming up. We'll do it about 8:29. Morning Bell. Business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you here on 93.9 The Eagle.
People are talking about Branden Rathert.
He's a jackass.
This is Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
Coming up December 15th, it's our annual 1-for-1 holiday food drive. We have details posted right now on our website, 939theeagle.com. Commerce Bank, also Inside Columbia Magazine, present the 93.9 The Eagle Commerce Bank 1-for-1 holiday food drive to benefit the food bank of Central and Northeast Missouri. It's coming up Wednesday, December 15th. Get a jump on things, though, by checking out our website, 939theeagle.com, 939theeagle.com. Right now, it's 8:29, time for the Morning Bell Business News. There's that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
Well, so it's like The Sims, only more intense, because now The Sims has become the metaverse. And actually, yesterday, somebody paid $4.3 million for fake land, virtual land. They're actually doing real estate deals in the metaverse.
This is crazy. We're going to cover this more coming up at 8:35. Remember with Sims, you built like the cities and stuff on a computer, and now it's gone next level. Fox is here. Going to see if this 15-year-old in custody for that school shooting, is he talking yet? Fox has that story coming up here at 8:30, 8:31. Brian Hauswirth is here. Some holiday things if you're interested in taking part. He's got a couple of ideas for you. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast, 63 today, 70 tomorrow. 67 on a feel-good Friday. It's 51. Stop by Club Car Wash. You can get an unlimited membership. They're only $20 a month. Get more details, clubcarwash.com. You can also find the location that's nearest you, clubcarwash.com.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. The Supreme Court this morning hears arguments in a case that could change abortion rights in America.
A Mississippi law banning most abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy would alter a legal precedent for abortion, first put in place by the 1973 Roe v. Wade case prohibiting limits on the procedure up to the third trimester.
Fox's Jared Halpern is the first abortion case heard with a 6-3 majority of justices appointed by Republicans, 3 by former President Trump. A decision is expected to be announced in June. A search warrant is ordered for the store in Albuquerque, New Mexico, believed to have supplied ammunition for the movie Rust.
Actor Alec Baldwin says he was given a cold gun on the set, but it turned out to have live rounds in it when he fired it, killing Helena Hutchins. There's been speculation that the live rounds came from an ammo can that contained live rounds used on a training set for a different movie earlier this year.
Fox's Sue Guzman. America's listening to Fox News.
.939 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:31 on this Wednesday morning. We are warming up right now in mid-Missouri. Already 49 degrees. Our high today will be around 63. Clear skies tonight with a low near 45 and sunshine tomorrow with a high of 70 degrees. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on at this hour. Attorneys for the second suspect in that deadly November shooting incident outside Vibes in downtown Columbia are requesting a bond reduction. Todd Nesbitt is charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. He's jailed without bond. He's set to appear Boone County Circuit Court 9 o'clock this morning. A state lawmaker who represents part of Columbia and southern Boone County will be pre-filing a bill today. It is aimed at repealing Missouri's new gas tax. Ashland Republican Representative Sarah Walsh tells 93.9 The Eagle's Branden Rathert she'll pre-file the bill today. The Missouri gas tax approved last year, the first gas tax increase in 25 years in Missouri. Secretary of State of Missouri says it's time to overturn Roe v. Wade. Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft will be speaking this afternoon at an Overturn Roe event in front of the Missouri Supreme Court in Jefferson City. Ashcroft and others will pray for the unborn at the 12:30 event. And the popular Living Windows event is expected to bring several thousand people to downtown Jefferson City Friday evening. Last year's event was canceled due to COVID concerns. Downtown Association spokesperson Angela Nail describes Living Windows as one of Jefferson City's biggest events of the year.
We have people who come from all over the state of Missouri. They come to Jefferson City for Living Windows on Friday night, and they stick around for the parade on Saturday. So we're expecting, I would have to say, 3,000 plus people in downtown Jefferson City.
Living Windows Friday from 6 until 9 p.m. Saturday afternoon's parade is at 4:30 downtown, and all the events are free. Our news is brought to you this hour by Hemi Construction, homes and lots in the southwest neighborhoods of Chapel Hill Meadows, Nursery Heights, Creek's Edge. Hemi Construction, 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:33. In sports, the St. Louis Blues overcoming a 3-0 deficit to rally to beat Tampa Bay, the Lightning, in a shootout last night at Enterprise Center in downtown St. Louis. Blues down at 3-0. The Blues end up winning the game 4-3. Binnington really tightening it up after that first period. 30 saves for the Blues, are now 12-7-3 on the year. 93.9 The Eagle Sports is brought to you this hour by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:34.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job. Post your job opening today. Roads have been pretty quiet in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
He had the Republicans hating him. He had the media never really liked him, and that's why he had to resign. I did not want him to resign in the beginning because I believed him, and I thought that you don't resign, you ask for due process. And leave the women alone and let due process take care of the situation.
And due process took care of that dude right there. That's Chris Cuomo on his radio show. So like hours after he said, let due process take its toll, he was obviously talking about his brother, former Governor Cuomo. He didn't leave office because he killed all those old people in nursing homes. He didn't leave office because he was grab-assing with employees in his office. He left office because he says the Democrats, his own party, didn't like him. The Republicans didn't like him. And then he says, and I think the boldest claim of all, he said the media didn't like him. This Chris Cuomo has lost his mind. I'm going back. Our guest we just had on. This would be great if you want to go back and check out the Wake Up Columbia On Demand. Wake Up Columbia On Demand anytime, all the time on our website, 939theeagle.com. Aaron Mate, Real Clear Investigations. Great story on people that are not correcting themselves over this Russian collusion stuff. We know now, we knew a lot for a long time it wasn't true, but more and more stuff, yeah, this was made up, and media outlets aren't correcting it. So I'm thinking about his visit with us. And Chris Cuomo saying on his radio show, the media didn't like this guy. The media fawned over this guy. They fawned over Cuomo.
They like worshipped at his feet at the beginning of the pandemic. I mean, he had more media coverage than any other politician. I mean, they thought he was the best thing. Maybe towards the end you could make that claim, at the very, very end. But we had a year of him being put up on a pedestal.
He was anytime there was a press conference out of New York City, because he was handling it brilliantly. National TV stations, they would go to him. He was on CNN with his brother and that giant Q-tip every night. I'd laughing and joking about all that stuff. And I want to play, because did Chris Cuomo say this? Did he say the media did not like his brother?
He had the media never really liked him.
Never really liked him. Now that is just false.
Come on, man. Really? My goodness. Give you an idea. Just before that happened, there was a listener to Chris's show. And I don't know if he still has the radio show or not now that CNN is like, dude, you're not even us. We're not dealing with this. This listener to his show, check this out.
Please give this message to your brother. This 60-year-old woman will never forget. He was the one that was leading this country when we were going through that terrible, deadly crisis.
So here's a 60-year-old woman, and she says to Chris Cuomo, please tell your brother, the former disgraced governor of New York, please tell him that he was leading us through this dark time. And I think that this is all putting a bow on this gift that is this media crap that Aaron Mate was talking about. This woman is 60 years old. She still thinks that Cuomo, we know now, he was killing people. He was writing a book about what he was doing while he was supposed to be governing. This guy is a fraud, very ineffective leader. He's very arrogant. He thinks he's immune from any potential repercussions that come from his very dastardly actions, by the way. And this woman, she's She's taking it hook, line, and sinker.
Well, is there a Cuomo sister? Because we know Chris is like a big liar. He was orchestrating stuff from the background, pretending that he was, unbiased and that he wasn't going to help his brother, that he was covering his brother fairly. And the whole time, he was working with him to, I guess, enhance the narrative. But is there a Cuomo sister? Did he, is this all false? I mean, is he just lying? And this lady, hey, would you call in, sis, and say that my brother was the best ever? Because that would be right in line with basically what he was doing the whole time he was on CNN.
It would be underhanded, deceitful, and very unjournalistic. Right up the alley there. Good morning, Stephanie.
Good morning.
Ryan Hauswirth is here.
Good morning. How you doing?
Apologies. Apparently I called you Ryan earlier.
That's okay.
Which I believe I get accused of doing a lot of things, and some of them I do.
No worries.
But I think you referred to Brian Hauswirth as Ryan, and I said, yeah, sounds like something
probably.
I probably did. There's Hannah, the producer.
Good morning, Branden.
My name is Branden Rathert. Something we can do for you today, 874-9390, 874-9390. Getting ready for our one-for-one holiday food drive with Commerce Bank. That's coming up Wednesday, December 15th. If you want to start making plans, more info on our website. Meanwhile,
just want to let you know that we have been following, guys, the bills that have been pre-filed at the Missouri Capitol, and it has just popped up on my screen. I've been waiting all morning. And again, I want to caution people, a lot of these bills probably won't get hearings. I'm not saying anything about it one side or the other, just the numbers. Very few of these bills end up passing, but they're certainly newsworthy. But Hardy Billington, who he'd be a good guest sometime. He's from Poplar Bluff. Very outspoken, and he has filed a number of bills. Probably of the 15 bills that have been filed, he's probably filed 7 of them. Looks like he's filed a voter ID bill. He's filed one about catalytic converters, and he's filed one that would prohibit the use of the 1619 Project initiative of the New York Times in public schools of the state. Also, he's filed a bill to designate January 12th as Rush Limbaugh Day. So he must be the first one in line, and that's why most of his bills are showing up at the top.
State Representative Sarah Walsh, she's here tomorrow, 6:35. I think are you saving your gas receipts?
I have.
Yeah, okay. So there's only 50% of the folks involved here in Wake Up Columbia saving receipts. You can save with this new gas tax, went into effect, I think, October 1. Save your gas receipts. It's not at the end of the year. It's the end of the they're not making it easy, by the way, for you to get your money. But you save your receipts and do a bunch of other stuff, and you can get your money back on the 2.5 cents per gallon tax. But Sarah Walsh has another idea.
Yeah, she has obviously told you, Branden, and I don't see her bill yet. It doesn't mean it hasn't been filed. It just means it hasn't been posted because there's a lot of staff there. But her bill very simply would essentially repeal the gas tax increase that was approved by the Missouri legislature last year. Would repeal it. It would not go to a public vote, doesn't need to, just like the one that they approved last year, just because of the amount, it did not need to go to a public vote.
Am I missing something here? This just passed this year. What am I missing that she would already...
Well, she has always said that she doesn't like the idea. She feels like MoDOT should live within its means, and people are overtaxed as is. I do think she would like to see anything like that. I don't want to speak for her. We'll find out tomorrow. Go to a public vote. It's a little confusing that this doesn't go to a public vote, but it didn't need to because it didn't rise to the threshold.
Well, and I think things have changed in the last year. Not only are local and the state government kind of flush with COVID cash still, but there's also, because of the infrastructure bill, there's a lot of money flowing from the federal government to the state for infrastructure projects. So if the whole purpose of this gas tax was to get some one-time money to do some of these projects, and now we have other sources of money, maybe it's time to look at that. And even if we didn't get a repeal, maybe, we don't have to increase it as much. I mean, that's one idea. So.
And the bill could obviously be amended. She'll start off for a total repeal, but the bill clearly could be amended. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
So that's something happening today. This is a teachable moment, kids. If you're watching YouTube on 93.9, 93.9 The Eagle Live, search on YouTube. You can pop us up on your smart TV and watch every morning on your TV at home or at work. Everybody's running around getting ready to hear all the latest news and stuff. But here's a great example of something that is happening today in Jefferson City that could ultimately affect you and Brian and Hannah and myself and you listening right now. It's a pre-filing of legislation to repeal this gas tax. That would affect you.
Yeah, and although Brian brings up a good point that, ultimately only very few of these bills will pass, and a lot of times they get combined and everything else. Sure. I do think it's really interesting because I do think it identifies the priorities for your local elected officials. So I do like to look through what my local elected officials are filing because, of all the whole universe of ideas they could have, they get, they kind of order it in their order of priorities, and I think it's very telling as to what people file as to where their priorities are.
Yeah, and some will not. You're exactly right. And some, Stephanie, won't file today. Some will file as we get closer, but and then some will file. They could file 50 bills. There's no limit. Some may file just a couple, but yes, and I expect there's probably many more that have been pre-filed that they've got a limited staff down there, but they'll just post those as they come in.
So I was talking to Chuck Basie yesterday, one of our state reps. Hey, what are you going to do? And this is text. Here's what he says. He says, from my perspective, the quote public school lobby unquote better stock up on Tums and adult diapers. The legislature will be addressing problems with our public schools and school boards. That's something ultimately that could affect us too. As a matter of fact, great conversation with Attorney General Eric Schmitt this morning.
Yeah, he said and I don't know who's going to carry that bill, but he said they're backing a parent's Bill of Rights, and a lot of it has to do with these sunshine law issues that he's had with districts down in Springfield, also up in Moberly, just about getting the right information. And so parents, and he brought up the Virginia election where, the soon-to-be former governor had said, that parents don't deserve basically a role in their child's education. And he said part of that, in order to have that role, you have to be able to get information. When you ask questions, parents need answers because it's hard for them to be involved if they don't know what's going on. And so he's supporting this Parents' Bill of Rights that would give parents, not only require DESE and the state to just put stuff out voluntarily rather than forcing us to have to go ask for it and then fight them for it, but also give parents rights as far as, IEP recordings, which we did get a new statute on that last year, but we're still having some issues there. But a lot of this, it's about transparency and that information, arming parents with that information will ultimately, give parents a better say in their child's education.
And here's the other big thing that we've been trying to discern this morning.
Omicron is...
Is it Omicron?
Omicron.
Omnicron? Is it...
The Omicron.
Omicron. We spoke with a virologist this morning. Very nice guy, Dr. Marc Johnson, right now at 8:46 in the morning. Think about this guy and what he's doing for the public. Right now, this guy is sifting through raw sewage.
He gets an Amazon delivery every morning of a bunch of sewage, not necessarily from Amazon, but some friends.
His Ring doorbell goes off. Oh, look, the crap's here. No, literally. But they're going through right now at 8:46 in the morning. This guy's going through raw sewage to determine how prevalent not just the coronavirus is here, but the latest variants.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. So he did say that we don't have Omicron yet here in Missouri, or they haven't detected it. But he said that we were one of the first to detect Delta, which I didn't know. That's fascinating, and I think it's interesting how they all talk to each other around the nation to see, where everything is.
I did not know that was about Branson, Missouri. That was...
It wasn't the Lake of the Ozarks.
It wasn't the Lake of the... It was Branson, Missouri. I'm thinking there's a marketing opportunity for when you drive into Branson next time. You go by Shepherd of the Hills and all that stuff, and then you get to the signs as Branson, the birthplace in Missouri for the Delta variant. Maybe not. Coming up, big old healthy dose of leftovers. Thanksgiving leftovers. We'll get into that coming up 8:53 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Good morning. Hey, before you go shopping, check out the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau website, bbb.org. Hi, I'm Branden Rathert. I like to get onto that website, bbb.org. Seriously, You can get on there right now. You could mess around with that scam tracker. You could type in your zip code. Any scams reported in my neighborhood? The other thing that the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau does for you is you go onto that website, like daily, you check in, maybe before you even get on to Amazon and buy stuff. You get on to pbb.org. Hey, any big scams being reported? What's happening online? Cool, I'm good to go. And that's how you use the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau website, bbb.org.
Wake Up Columbia with an eye on the world and a focus on you. 93.9 The Eagle.
I see no great cause for alarm based on that early reporting. What am I missing about this story?
Bill Hemmerer, Fox News, talking about audio that we actually played here on Wake Up Columbia. It was audio from a doctor from South Africa and talking about this Omicron variant.
Currently, there's no reason for panicking as we don't see severely ill patients.
She says there's no reason for panicking as it relates to this new variant. We haven't seen anything. She went on to say mild symptoms, maybe not typically associated with what you might see with COVID. But the doctor, Francis Collins, he is the director of the National Institute of Health. Here's what he's saying. He's like, well, even doctors there are saying maybe that person spoke out of turn. Maybe they should have just waited. That's what he's saying. I always go back to, God rest his soul, Mr. Rumsfeld, Donald Rumsfeld, who served in the Bush administration. The whole, we don't know what we don't know. And that's the thing. Even with this, there's already confusion. And I think that's the whole thing with the virus from 2 years ago. Vaccines, mask mandates, this work, this doesn't work. Well, but we're science. We know what we're talking about. Wear 2 masks. No, don't wear 2 masks. Don't wear any masks. Again, already more confusion. Welcome into the show. Wake up, Columbia. Stephanie Bell, Hannah, the producer. Brian Hauswirth is here. My name is Branden Rathert.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers on 93.9 The Eagle. Enjoy.
All right, what's on your plates as far as leftovers? We got some texts here. A lot of great text. Somebody, this is one of our listeners, says, can I read that one from the listener who wants me to read?
You can.
No, I'm uncomfortable reading that. Let me go on to the next one. This is from listener Ben. Hannah, I haven't pre-read this yet. 874-9390. Wanted to commend you guys on your interview with your guest, who is a self-proclaimed progressive. You allowed him to express his position without trying to convince him he's wrong. There's another... I'll stop reading there. Well, I don't want him to go in criticizing other folks. We had a guy on. His name is Aaron Motte. He does investigations, real clear investigations. And I didn't know this about him, frankly, but because it doesn't matter what his political ideations are when it comes to facts. And we were talking about facts of Russian collusion. Great. He's done this investigation, and he's calling out me. We know. He's not saying, hey, this was all crap. We know. We knew that. But he's calling out the news outlets that ran with this stuff, and that, even more egregious, they're not correcting all these falsehoods that we're learning about it.
Yeah, and then late in the interview, he said, hey, actually, I'm a progressive. Like, I'm willing to call out the media on their lies, but, I was a Bernie guy. And so I had asked him, well, then from your side, what is the conspiracy theory that you think the right is obsessed with? Kind of testing him to see, how... where his threshold for conspiracies was, and I thought he might say something like Hillary's emails, or he might say the Hunter Biden laptop, which there are facts backing up these things. But he actually did. He said, maybe the Obama birth certificate thing, it was kind of, put to bed. And so I think, for me, it means that, he's even though he's progressive, he is willing to look at the facts.
Yeah. Did he mention the pizza parlor thing in DC?
I think that would probably be on his list as well, Pizzagate.
Yeah, and then Alan mentioned, while we were chatting with this guy that Ben's referring to, Hillary Clinton cried about Russian collusion, Donald Trump cried about cheating at the polls. I think they all do the same crap. Agreed. 874-9390. Getting ready for the Gary Nolan show here on 93.9. The Eagle, my dad's favorite show. So right now, we're coming up on 9 o'clock. My dad's probably sitting there fumbling at his computer south of St. Louis. All right, how do I pull up 93.9 The Eagle live? All right, listen live, or I can go to the Gary. That's what he's trying. My dad, brilliant computer programmer. But when it comes to everything else, he's not on it. But he's getting excited. I know that Gary Nolan show. Coming up next tomorrow on the show, we go to D.C. Congressman Jason Smith reps Southeast Missouri and is maybe running for Senate. Why else would a guy from Southeast Missouri keep coming on to a show in Columbia, Missouri?
Because he likes us, because we're cool.
He's in D.C. Inside Scoop, what's happening there tomorrow. Sarah Walsh joins us 6:35. Maybe some hope getting rid of this new gas tax in Missouri. See ya.
Bye.